Well, happy Thursday, everybody. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Appreciate you being here this morning and consuming us. Sounds weird every time I say it, but I'll continue to say it. Let's get our heads right on a Thursday. Lots to talk about, actually, since we got out of here yesterday. My name is Stephen Woods. I go by Woodsy and co-host of this program. Paul Reindl is our executive producer, imaging director. Good morning, Paulie.
Top of the morning to you.
Paulie, I dig that hat. What is that hat from?
This is from SDFC.
That's SDFC hat.
Yeah.
I really like that.
I was inspired when you
By my
showed off
sweatshirt.
Your sweatshirt. I said, man, they got some cool looking gear.
You know, it's funny
They
because
just came out with some new stuff.
when the gear came out, I think everyone was like, eh. And then I got it at Christmas. I was like, this is my favorite sweatshirt.
Yeah, my wife got me this hat. She got a sweatshirt, the navy blue with the orange and blue logo.
Looks
and
rad.
I was like, yeah, I'm all in.
I really like that
I'm
hat.
all in.
I like that hat a lot.
Describe it for those who are not watching on YouTube.
The hat is a gray hat with a cool, like, navy blue SD on it. And
But it's not the Padres.
It's not the Padres.
Interlocking
No.
SD.
It's like the top S part is connected to the top of the D, and I really enjoy it. I like it. I thought for a second it was this like a San Diego Seals hat, but no, that's SDFC.
Yeah.
It looks really good.
Got
All
a
right.
Seals hat that's similar in that gray color
Yeah,
with
the
a
gray
purple
color.
SD, but it's a different SD
I like
than that
it.
SD.
I like it a lot. So
Yeah.
Paulie's got a fresh brim on, and it looks good. Benjamin Higgins, not as fresh looking today as far as gear goes, but fresh in spirit.
Well, a little bit. I've been kicked out of the barrio, unfortunately.
I couldn't believe this when Ben told me 17 minutes ago.
I'm a little sad about it, but it's okay. It's okay.
Why don't you tell everybody what happened?
There's not really much that happened. We talked about it yesterday that I was invited to MC the Spirit.
Was it yesterday
a
or
couple
the day
days ago?
before?
2 days ago. That I was invited to MC the upcoming Spirit of the Barrio Luncheon.
And my point was, I think my overarching point was, why you, of all people, to go up and talk about, the spirit of the barrio? You, of all people. And you made a decent case for yourself. And I thought, well, all right. If they're okay with it, then sounds good to me.
What was this case again? Like my great-grandmother.
My great-grandmother's family fled Pancho Villa on horseback from Mexico to Arizona, where they settled and became farmers in Yuma, Arizona.
And he has...
I would have been Ben Franco
if
we had gone with the name from that line. We got my whole heritage on my mother's side of the family.
Right. And so I thought, okay, well then yeah, you get a pass.
Yeah.
For that. And then you looked at your email yesterday and they've made a decision.
Now, I was not told you are not, in fact, barrio enough to host this luncheon. I was told that they accidentally double booked the host, and could I perhaps postpone until a later barrio luncheon at some other date?
Oftentimes when I want to get out of something, I'll say something like that, and then I'll say, but I'd love to do it at a later date, knowing full well I'm never going to.
I mean, I have no reason to doubt the barrio organizers, and I don't know that they're lying to me. They probably just already had invited Julian Delgadio or Troy Hirsch or someone else and forgot to tell, the guy who invited me, and then he was horrified to go, wait, I got Ben Higgins. He's going to do, oh no, we already invited Troy. He's going to be emceeing our luncheon. Sorry, you're going to have to cancel with Ben.
Jocelyn said it's because he couldn't roll his R's. So maybe
I've been working on it so hard.
But you've damaged. You damaged the reputation. I do feel bad. Okay, here's a question. Had we never mentioned it on the air, do you still get that email? That's the thing I don't know.
I mean, I would think that mentioning it on the air would be
a good thing.
Yes. A benefit in promoting the event that gives me an advantage over everybody else that hasn't been promoting the event.
That's exactly right. It would have been funny to have dueling hosts show up, and you're like, I guess we're working together. It's you, it's Hacksaw up there, both talking about.
Yeah.
Try this.
That could have cost me a little bit.
That might have cost you.
Possible. But no, it's still a good event, and if you were interested in attending...
I love the barrio.
Don't let it stop you that I will no longer be said MC of the March luncheon. So Tamales are still good at lunch.
Hannah Nancaro Woods, my wife in the chat, says, I'd rather be dead by Pancho Villa in Mexico than alive in Arizona. She really is not a fan of Arizona in any way. Dead at the hands of Pancho Villa.
I think it's actually Poncho, Pancho. Poncho is what you wear to protect yourself
What did
from
I
the
say?
rain. No, she spelled it with an O, Poncho, like...
Oh, Pancha.
It's poncho, Pancho, not Poncho, which is a poncho is what you wear like
in
a
the rain,
rain slicker.
Pancho Villa.
Yeah.
Are you Ben explaining what ponchos are?
She is. Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
I really am sorry that you're out of that gig. Now, was that a paid gig?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it's a
Well,
volunteer position.
They're still going to go.
I may still go. Who knows? I might. But
that's
if I'm
a hard-ass move to show up.
Be like, all right,
If
well,
I'm going to be
there either way,
emceeing another
so-
one in the future, I may wait until that one. Just, I don't need to go to all of them.
Can I
all
tell
the
you?
time.
Can I tell you something?
I'm not that Barrio.
Can I tell you something? You don't. You're not going to be doing another one. I didn't. I mean, clearly something happened. Something. It's like our thing with SDSU. Something happened 5 years ago where they're like, no, they're on the list, right? So there's something that's happened. Now I'll probably get the blame for it, but again, I do feel like you not being able to say barrio is going to hurt you in that. Welcome to the spirit of the barrio. It just doesn't work the same. But I am sorry if it was me that cost you that $0 appearance. I am sorry.
It's fine. I'll get over it.
Barilla. Barilla. Barilla.
So yesterday, we did our bean boozled jelly beans.
We did.
And it like ruined my appetite the entire day. The dead fish and the dirty dishwater that I ended up eating.
Yeah.
I couldn't eat lunch. I had like 4 wheat thins. That's all I could get down. And I didn't eat anything until late in the day when I was starting to finally feel a little bit better from those dang jelly beans.
It made you sick?
Yeah.
Or you tasted it?
It just
You were
took
remembering
my
it?
app. I think I was just remembering. It was psychological. I don't think I was physically ill. I just didn't want to eat again after having those jelly beans.
It's a decent weight loss.
That's good. Go with the sdfatloss.com bean boozled strategy as well.
And you just have... Listen, here's our program. You eat one dead fish bean in the morning, and you will not eat until dinner time.
Pretty much as an appetite suppressant.
Paulie, what did you have? You had the
Stink bug.
Stink bug. Now, how was your appetite the rest of the day?
Less than normal.
Less than normal?
Yeah.
I wish I would have had one. I ate like a hog yesterday.
I didn't eat until dinner.
Yeah. Same.
6 o'clock.
I took the kids in last night, and I told them that we did the bit, and Bo really wanted to see it because it was his idea. And he howled and cackled, just like his dad. We were watching it at the dinner table on YouTube. He goes, did his mouth fill up with water? I go, yeah, he was like about to throw up. And, he's 6 almost. He's fascinated by throwing up and pooping and things like that. So he really, really loved it.
You're 48 and you're fascinated by those things, sir.
That's actually true. Oh, man, we had yesterday one of the best shows we've ever had. I mean, it was just from start to finish, just weird and out there. And when you can get a good Ben Higgins belly laugh, there's really nothing like it in the world. I think it could cure disease. The little snort gets me. Toast. Take that,
man.
pour it out of a bottle into one of those big spoons in your kitchen, and then just suck it down, and you will instantly feel better.
Cannot fake it. I cannot fake it.
More like ass pro shops, to be honest with you. just murdered me. It just murdered me yesterday. So, the good thing is you have a show like that, and you're like, all right, I feel pretty good about our show and its direction. The bad news is you get home and you go, all right, don't get stupid and try to just recreate that magic. Just let the game come to you and have some fun today. We are going to have some good conversations today. There's some audio. I mean, we have more, some of the best audio. The audio is raining from heaven right now. I can't get enough of this. There's some huge, huge news in coaching, obviously, that you guys have heard about. Stephen A. Smith decided to stop down and do 45 minutes on his biggest enemy. As a fellow PhD in Petty, I couldn't have loved it more. It was so hardcore. I want to get into the weeds on that. It was incredible. There's a lot to talk about.
There may be coaching news that you haven't heard about. If you're just getting up and haven't checked, Twitter yet, you got more than just what we heard about yesterday as well. We'll get into all of that.
We're talking about some legends of the game.
What a span of 18 hours?
Yes,
my God.
Just insane. So we'll get into that too. Baseball remains a bit slow, but we've got some ideas how to talk some Padres today. I got one yesterday too. I wanted to weigh in on this one now. Somebody had tweeted something. I think local media should be making a bigger deal out of the fact that no one's really talking from the Padres. And I wrote him back, and I wasn't being a jerk. I just said, look, we've asked. You can't force somebody to come on the radio. I mean, you can, but I would go to prison. I can't go kick down the private equity office and be like, all right, I got him, guys. Ben, fire away with your questions. If I thought it would work, I might try it, but I don't want to go to prison just to get an Eric Katsenda interview here, right? I do understand why fans are restless. We all do. We're restless as balls right now. We would love to have him on.
I think the question is, what, as fans, do we have a right to even know?
Correct.
There are certainly some
question.
Things in any organization, even a public-facing one like a professional sports team like the Padres, that deserve to be behind closed doors.
Sure, but that being said, Benny, they make the very astute point of, this is what we were told. We know things have changed. No one's talking. We're not spending, allegedly, and ticket prices are going up. I think there's legit beef there.
Sure,
I agree.
But they haven't done anything illegal.
No.
As far as I know.
Just no one's talking.
But this fan base, we have been spoiled with somebody like Peter Seidler. And even before Peter Seidler, Ron Fowler would go on the air every week and talk.
Yeah.
So Peter would come on and calm all of us down.
That's what I think people want. They want us to be mad and yell at them enough that they go, fine, put somebody on. I'm just here to tell you, it doesn't really work that way.
Right.
I wish
the
it
ask
did.
is in
The ask has
recently
been in.
as 48 hours ago.
Exactly. So I don't want to. I think your tweet was right. You're right. We should be making a bigger deal out of it, but there's really nothing. All you can do is ask, and they say no. And you say, oh, okay. I strenuously object. What do you want us to do? You can't get blood from a stone right now. I think things will play out. You have every right to be nervous as a fan base, but I want to talk more about that as well.
That's a good point. We'll set the menu coming up next, including some of those Padres topics that we will get to. We got our regular features. It's a Throwback Thursday, so get ready for some of that as well. It's Ben and Woods. Check traffic with Kelly and be right back on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. If you're just getting up, the breaking news this morning involving coaching legends. After a day filled with Nick Saban and Pete Carroll talk, Bill Belichick will be leaving the New England Patriots after 24 seasons, reported this morning by ESPN and other sources. Could be a press conference as soon as, 9 a.m. our time?
Yeah.
Coming up later this morning.
One of our tier ones, Alvaro, lives in Boston. He's the one I married him a couple months back. He DM'd me this morning and said he's on his way to Gillette right now for the Bill Belichick presser at noon Eastern, so 9 our time.
That makes me think that Bill Belichick will be part of that presser, which means he's going at least somewhat cooperatively, like Pete Carroll did.
Take him. He's not going to go quietly. Yeah, I think it's going to be the old mutual decision bit. Yeah.
Doesn't mean that Bill Belichick is retiring necessarily from coaching.
On to retirement.
Yeah, on to retirement.
Onto the golf course.
Onto the fishing boat.
Because he will be a name talked about by other teams. But
he will have a job in 3 weeks, I would imagine.
If he wants it.
Yeah, if he wants it.
You know what? And we can talk about this when we get into the coaching. But when you look at, even the legends, Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, if you don't have the players, you really can't be successful. Is there any coach that can transcend a lack of playing talent?
Yeah, but he's also the
best.
He's also
the worst.
He's also the GM.
True, but he was also the GM when they were winning as well, for the most part. He had Scott Pioli, but
listen, guys lose their fastball. It happens.
Did he lose his fastball? Did he forget? Do you guys forget how to coach? Does the game pass them by,
the game passes
is it simply a matter of when he has players he won, and when he didn't have players he didn't win? Just like every other coach.
But here's the thing:
in the history of coaching,
it's like you're the GM and you make the personnel decisions, and you made really good personnel decisions for a long time. Let's also be honest. He hit on a little bit of luck with a guy like Tom Brady in the 6th round that came in and said, I'm done being a slob. I'm going to be the greatest of all time, and I'm going to make everybody around me better. He put the good teams on the field. He kept guys. He cut guys when he needed to, when they were at the top and they cost too much money, and was able to replenish. I think the eye goes. I think the feel for how relating to players and all that.
Mac Jones was not the right guy.
No.
If he had been, though, would Bill Belichick still be the genius? If Mac Jones turned into one of the top young quarterbacks in the league, is Bill Belichick still one of the best coaches in football?
I don't know. I mean, he picked Mac Jones. That's the thing.
He did, but it's one selection in a quarter century plus career, of NFL coaching. You're not going to get every single one right. Does that mean Bill Belichick is an idiot because he was wrong on Mac Jones?
And like Mike says in here, his defense with a losing record was still top 10. Can still coach the D. Was it a symptom of not wanting to delegate? Not wanting to say, all right, maybe I can't still handle all of this. Maybe I still can't be a capologist and a defensive mind and motivate my rookie quarterback. I just don't know what the answer is. I know that Bill Belichick, if he wants a job, Ben, he'll have another job. It's just a matter of what kind of power will they give him. I would imagine if it were my franchise and I was the Raiders or the Chargers that haven't done anything, I'd take a look at a guy like that.
I don't know, because he's 72 years old, and even if you get a fairly decent rendition of Bill Belichick, at the most you're getting him for 3 years?
Yeah.
How long is he going to go? And then you've got to go through this entire process again.
Agree.
Hopefully he brings in a coach in waiting. By the way, his coaches in waiting have generally been
terrible,
atrocious.
All of them, almost to a man.
So why do you really want to even go down that road? Even if you thought he might inject a little bit of Bill Belichick into your organization, is it really worth it going down that road right now? Or would you rather take a chance on someone else, a hot name, and maybe you land on someone who can be your coach for a decade plus?
Yeah, Jeff says if you get a Super Bowl, the team won't care. You're right. You're absolutely right. But
what teams that are looking for coaches right now are poised to win a Super Bowl in the next 3 years?
I know people will say the Chargers just because of Justin Herbert. It would be interesting to see what he does with Justin Herbert, but
in more cap constriction than they've had in years.
Yep.
The Chargers are a team. Right now, I think on the downswing, not the upswing.
They're going to have to be very creative with some of the ways that they handle some of their cap problems. Yeah, Titans.
I mean, where are you going that Bill Belichick can really make a huge difference in the next couple of years?
You know, the funny thing is about the NFL too. Really doesn't matter what team you own. You're gonna make money. You know, we need to hire him for a splash. Get asses in the seats. There's going to be asses in the seats anyway. Like there's a part of that in other sports. But I think, do you want to hire Bill Belichick? It's got to be a good situation for him. And I think it probably starts and stops with a quarterback. But yeah, do you think he could help the Chargers defense? Yeah, he could. He absolutely could. He could help the Raiders defense. He could help the Raiders offense if he had the right quarterback in place. So I think it's just up to him. Does he want to continue to do this grind? Does he want to move to the West Coast, be a West Coast guy now for 3, 4, 5 more years? He's going to be 77 years old at the end of a 5-year deal. I don't know. For me personally, if it were me, I'd be like, I'm out of here, man. I got 7.
Remember, Bill Belichick is not going to sell himself either when he gets to a new team and a new fan base. Like most
Imagine that interview.
But like most new coaches have to sell themselves to, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to, he gets a fan base. New coaches get a fan base excited when they arrive in town. That's part of their job is to, that's why San Diego State hired Sean Lewis. No one was excited about Brady Hoke. They're hoping people will be excited about Sean Lewis. Bill Belichick, the name might excite people, but he ain't going on any blitz of media tour.
Chargers football, catch the fever.
That's it. We're on to the first game of the season. And that's all you'll hear from him, until the season starts, essentially. Is that exciting for a new team? Do you really want to deal with that if you're not the New England Patriots? I really don't.
People are saying, look, make him a coordinator. He's not. I don't think he's going to take a coordinator's job.
Was this Rocky Long here?
Yeah, I still think that's going to happen.
I just taking a president of football operations maybe instead, but I don't know.
Some advisor.
It's a weird realization where we've just automatically written him off as like the GOAT or one of the GOATs.
Yeah, he is.
But it's a weird thing to come to terms with where if Hugh Jackson or somebody like that wasn't a great coach had Tom Brady for 20 years, they could be the greatest coach of all time.
That's the argument. That's always been the argument. But I think, look,
the record without Brady speaks for itself. Somebody just put it in the chat. He's like, what was it, 84 and 115 or something?
Sure. Yeah, but again, that's his guy. He helped develop him and, certainly gets credit for those 7 rings that they won. It was a weird day in the coaching 6 coaching carousel yesterday. 7 was Saban, right?
Tom Brady has 7.
Brady has
he
7.
Got one with
Belichick has 6, but Nick Saban also has 7 national championships. So we'll talk about that as well.
Yeah, we'll get to the other coaching moves from yesterday in our 7 o'clock hour, including audio reaction of Alabama fans to Nick Saban's abrupt retirement yesterday. He's 72 as well. It's not.
Did you see this coming?
I don't know if anybody did.
Not yet, but you can never be that stunned that someone in their 70s decides to step down.
Yeah,
but
there was no smoke, was there? I didn't see anything after their season ended.
I don't think so, but Alabama fans reacting to it. We've got some great audio for you. As I said, real or fake on a Throwback Thursday. Chance to qualify for a trip to Las Vegas coming up at 7:10. Don't do this. Our regular features. We're going to do some Padres talk. I want to talk about the 3 superstars and a question I'm going to pose at 7:35 for Padres fans. We'll do that. Second half of the show, we're going to have some time for Stephen A. Smith's rant on his podcast yesterday about Jason Whitlock.
Did you edit that?
When Stephen Smith goes to town on someone, he goes to town on someone.
Have you edited that audio yet? The Stephen A. Smith?
Yeah.
All right.
So lots of incredible audio coming your way on the program today. When we come back, though, a new mailbag in The Athletic. Padres questions, including what are the chances still that Ha-Seong Kim gets traded, maybe even before the start of the season? That is next with Ben and Woods. Don't go anywhere. It's San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We were, unfortunately, correct here on the Ben Woods program. Good morning. It is Thursday morning here on 97.3 The Fan. We talked about it, I think, about a month ago.
Yeah.
The Padres season opener in Korea, speculating, well, what time are those games going to be at? And you figure, they're going to want them like in the evening in Korea when people can actually go to games after work. And if it's at 7 o'clock in Korea, that would be 3 a.m. here in San Diego. And Major League Baseball did officially announce the start time for the two season opening games against the Dodgers in Seoul, and they are, in fact, going to be at 3 a.m. here in San Diego, as we kind of figured they would be, which means a couple of very, very late nights / early mornings for us and for Padres fans. And now there's so many dedicated Padres fans. I don't see a lot of people just going, you know what, I'll just catch the last 160 games. You're going to want to watch those first two against the Dodgers.
I'm right there with you. It happened years ago. We had just started as a show. They had a game in Japan, I believe. And, it started at like 1 o'clock in the morning or something. And I woke up and watched it and went in and did the show. It was a long day. These are going to be long days, too. There's even talk, potentially, maybe, of having a little watch party here. The Odyssey Empire Studios. So that could be fun.
Nothing officially announced yet.
Nothing official yet.
Now that the start time is official, we can
start planning.
At least discuss and maybe make some plans about what we're going to do March 20th, 21st for those two games at 3 in the morning.
The nightmare scenario is you get a bunch of 40, 50 people up here to watch the game together. Sammy Lev does his pregame show at 2 a.m., takes you right into Padres baseball. And then the Padres take the field against the Los Angeles Dodgers, and you're down 7-0 in the first. And you've woken up, and we are now forced to sit and watch that entire game and then come in and do a live, 3-hour show after that. I think Sammy's going to have to do a post-game show. And there is a couch here. It's not big enough for all three of us, but Ben can fall asleep anywhere. So if need be, if we get down early, you could certainly take a little snooze and get ready for the show. I'm not super duper thrilled about the whole thing. I'm really not. WBC really threw a wrench into it. I don't think this is anywhere near, the imposition that the WBC was for these players. But it's gonna be interesting, man.
So if I remember correctly, the Padres and Dodgers are splitting those two games. Okay, yes. One
is the home team.
One is a home team, and the Padres apparently are the home team in the first game, which means...
Yeah, we could be down 7-0
to start the season, presumably, Mookie Betts,
Freddie
Freeman, Shohei Ohtani against Yu Darvish,
yes.
Likely, if he's healthy, maybe Joe Musgrove, but that's...
Now, if he mows them down, bro...
That's how the season starts. You can say how the season goes by the first batter. It's going to be a fairly momentous moment when those three, for the first time, the talk of the entire baseball world this offseason, what the Dodgers have done, going up against one of those Padres studs in the first three at-bats ever in South Korea in a Major League Baseball game. 3 a.m., doesn't matter when it is. That's historic right there. And we will have it for you here on 97.3 The Fan.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one, man. Just listening to guys actually die on the radio at 9 a.m. that morning. But we'll do it, man, because we love the Padres, we love you guys, and we'll try to get that thing together for at least the first game. I would imagine it's opening day. For all intents and purposes, if you got a fantasy team, those stats are gonna count. The gambling will count. All of it will count.
If it makes you feel any better, I just clicked on the ESPN matchup for the first game of the season, and ESPN's matchup predictor gives the Padres a 56.8% chance of winning that game. I have no idea how they're coming up with that number. But yes, Padres, according to ESPN.
Do they know something we don't know?
Apparently they do.
Wow, Dylan Cease on the bump. Wow.
I don't know why it says that, but 56.8 Padres, 43.2% Dodgers.
It's at home field
both
advantage.
games, actually. Padres should come home with a sweep from Korea.
I would, we're going to go ahead and start it early. Our BS sports talk radio tropes. You know what you want, guys, in this series. You just want to come away with a split. All right, just one game, that's fine. A sweep would be nice.
You always want to get off to a fast start every season.
Sweep would be nice, but hey, you take a 1-1 split coming home, right? Well, we'll go ahead and get it out of the way.
Will Ha-Sung Kim be part of the squad when they head back to his native South Korea, though? New mailbag out from The Athletic. We will talk about that right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Viejas Casino and Resort. Got some soggy conditions out there, you guys. Definitely want to take it extra carefully, especially on those transition ramps. Got a collision now on the Fairmont on-ramp to northbound 15. Still clearing a crash on southbound 805 near 8th Street. It's got the fast lane blocked. Also traveling on the South 5 near the Coronado Bridge. Accident has got the 2 right lanes blocked. Hamishaw Road right at the northbound 125 collision involving a couple vehicles does not appear to be blocking lanes. Viejas Casino and Resort is home to the best players and My Viejas. Start earning points toward incredible rewards like free gifts, concert tickets, hotel stays, dining discounts, and more. It's time to ditch the other guys and join the best My Viejas Players Club, Viejas Casino and Resort. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So the Athletic's Dennis Lin yesterday released one of his mailbag columns, and the first 2 questions he took from Padres fans both addressed Ha-Sung Kim. The first was, as unpopular as it would be with Padres fans, is trading Ha-Sung Kim the best shot we have to fill all the holes that remain on the roster? And, you know, Dennis is pretty level-headed and cool in his Padres analysis, and he makes the case that it probably is. If we're being totally honest, and the Padres are going to find some quality that can play now in the outfield or perhaps another starting pitcher, given the market right now in free agency and the limitations the Padres have self-imposed, it looks like, on themselves for payroll, that trading Ha-Sung Kim may be their best option if they want to have a more fully balanced roster. Doesn't mean they're going to trade him, but that seems to be the avenue that they could take if they wanted to do so.
Well, one of the quotes from his answer, internally at least, San Diego has been discussing the idea for weeks. Yeah, we've kicked it around a little bit. It's never a popular subject, and I fully understand why. He plays harder than anybody on that team. Every single time he is on the field. He is a fan favorite. He is beloved in San Diego. He is a value play at $8 million a season, Gold Glove winner, and getting better offensively every single year. So obviously, the asking price for him is very, very high. And I saw a guy that covers the Marlins. Craig Mish is his name. He's really, really good. He tweeted the other day, he said, yeah, they're absolutely interested in Ha-Sung Kim, but the Padres' asking price is through the roof. And let's be honest, as it should be. So ask for the moon. Don't settle for anything less than the moon if you're going to make a move like this.
And Dennis also writes that a trade before Kim's scheduled March 20th homecoming at Seoul's Gochuk Skydome, where he played his games in Korea, is possible but not likely. To me, though,
that would be cold as ice, by the way.
To me, if there's a trade of Ha-Sung Kim between, let's say, March 21st and March 28th, when the Padres open their home schedule against the San Francisco Giants, it's going to feel very disingenuous that they kept him on to take him to Korea only to deal him in the following days to fill some of the needs on their roster. To me, if you're going to do it, bite the bullet, get the best deal you can, and do it now. Do it before spring training when you can have new players come in and get acclimated with the team. Don't artificially keep him around just to take him to Korea for publicity purposes.
It's not a way to run a team.
As good as it would be for Major League Baseball, you did sign at least another Korean player that will now be able to represent your roster out of the bullpen for those games. Now, if you think the smart thing is keeping him around for the reasons you just talked about, Woods, the cost efficiency, the fact that he has only improved every single season. However, the last part of it is he will be a free agent at the end of the year. And if you don't think you can sign him to an extension, just like with Juan Soto, you are also facing the possibility of losing him for nothing. Correct. And right now, the Padres don't seem to be an organization that's in the position that they can just lose guys for nothing. So the second question here was, what would a reasonable contract extension for Ha-Sung Kim look like? And Dennis made some comparisons to what Dansby Swanson and Trevor Story got. Now, both of those guys were fairly premier names going on the market in the last, 2 to 3 years.
Correct.
And while maybe Ha-Sung Kim isn't quite on the level in terms of offensive potential as those guys, he's not. The market's also increased. So when you kind of balance those things out and you look at 7 years, $177 million for Swanson, 6 years, $140 million for Story. You could sort of envision that that's where a reasonable contract number might fall for Ha-Seong Kim. Is that something let's say as a Padres fan, first of all, do you want to go down that road and pay him that much for his, early 30s now? Not his late 20s anymore, but into his early 30s, a much more expensive player. Or have we seen now the best of Ha-Seong Kim? Was last year the best that we'll see of Ha-Seong Kim?
Ask yourself this question, Padre fans. Are you willing to pay him between $21 and $26 million per year? And if you're okay with that, then okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Absolutely, you're right. I myself, I don't know that I could do that. Now, I understand other extensions have been handed out that make maybe even less sense than this one. I totally understand that toothpaste is out. It's on the counter. You cannot scoop it back in there. There's nothing you can do about those now unless you work out a trade and eat some salary and attach prospects and things like that. I guess there's always a way out of a corner that you painted yourself into. But if you're willing to give him, Ben, almost triple what he's making now, that's what you'd have to do. Because again,
which he's earned. His value is his value.
But they also said the only notable competition in the upcoming class of free agent shortstops is Willy Adames. He's 28 years old. So, I mean, look, if you could get pieces, it just sucks. I hate that we're back to this point.
Sucks so much because he's such a fan favorite. He plays the game. You want 26 guys just like him.
No question, man. But you can't. You're going to pay him that much money.
The formula is right there. Guy into a contract year at peak value.
Peak value.
Like 10 times out of 10, that's the right decision, and it's
never
sucks.
easy.
I think there are three potential outcomes with Ha-Seong Kim that you're looking to avoid all three of them. One of them is the Jake Cronenworth. You sign him to a long, lucrative contract extension, but turns out he really wasn't improving. We saw the peak, and now starts to decline, and the numbers just aren't there, and now you're overpaying for another infielder on a long-term deal. The second possible bad outcome is you trade him or let him go in free agency. He signs somewhere else, and guess what? He continues to improve. And the season that he just got that had MVP votes is not a fluke. And for several years, he's tormenting you on another team, maybe even one up in San Francisco or Arizona, and coming back and going, could have had that guy, could have signed him for not a cheap deal, but a more reasonable deal if they have done it now, and he goes and haunts you somewhere else. But the third possible one and Dennis brings this up and mentions it, Jackson Merrill is your top prospect or one of your top prospects in your system. And right now still is a guy without a position. If Ha-Seong Kim leaves and Jackson Merrill comes in and takes over that position and does well, if he doesn't, you trade Jackson Merrill and he becomes a stud somewhere else cheaply for many years of control, and you got rid of him because you had to keep Ha-Seong Kim on a $145 million deal when you could have had Jackson Merrill producing somewhat similarly or maybe even better depending on how he develops. That's not an outcome you want either.
No,
you'd rather have Jackson Merrill on the cheap producing somewhat comparably to Ha-Seong Kim than an expensive Ha-Seong Kim. Now, those are three outcomes you want to avoid. What's the best course forward now for the San Diego Padres?
That Ha-Seong Kim comes to A.J. Preller and says, I love playing here. I don't want to leave. Defer me until 2030. That's your best case scenario because Ha-Seong Kim deserves every dollar he can get. He's earned it. He plays hard as hell for it. And if you can't pay him, somebody's going to. Somebody's going to. He plays a premier position and doesn't even play it here. You know, there's been some mistakes made, and now you're trying to paint yourself out of it, and you may end up losing. Well, you've already lost a potential franchise-changing player in Juan Soto. I like the return that you got back for him. The return that you get back for a Ha-Seong Kim, if you do this too, it better be juicy as well.
I mean, Ha-Seong Kim certainly more of a known quantity than Jackson Merrill is at this point. You're taking a big risk if you're turning things over to Merrill, even if it's a year from now, and saying farewell to Ha-Seong Kim. But the potential rewards of doing that are also pretty high. to have a young, controllable player who you think could produce on the big league level cheaply for several years, 6 years of control, essentially, versus an absolutely free agent who's going to be at the top of his value when you're signing him.
And when we had Kyle Glazer on last year, and what was last week?
It was almost last year.
It was almost last year. The word that he used was a transition year. And if it's a transition year, truly, you don't really have a choice. If you're transitioning to get ready for 2025, yes, Ha-Seong Kim makes you better in 2024, but if you're not going to sign him at the end of the year, you cannot afford to lose him for nothing. And the deadline deal is not going to be as lucrative as it would be now.
And if you've already decided you couldn't afford to lose Juan Soto for nothing,
right?
Isn't the same calculus at play for Ha-Seong Kim?
One would think.
You don't want to lose him for nothing either with a
think.
year to go, especially if, as Dennis writes, the market for him has been very interested out there. When there's a lot of teams interested, that just makes the offers go up and up for what you're going to get.
It's going to suck. There's no my 6-year-old will be devastated. Devastated. Ha-Seong Kim is a guy that you watch play and say, play like him.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you play the game. And those guys just don't. They're just not around that much anymore. The dude plays hard with heart every single day and continuously tries to improve and he's just a force. Like there's an aura about him. You know, if you ever stand near him, there's an aura about him. You want guys like that on your team. That being said, it's also a business and it sucks.
Passion.
The business sucks sometimes. This is one of those times.
All right, we can come back. There are a couple other questions involving the outfield we can get to as well. Do want to play some of that audio, though, from Nick Saban fans who are devastated in Alabama. We'll get to that coming up at 7 o'clock. Real or fake on a Throwback Thursday. Chance to win a trip to Las Vegas coming up as well. 1 hour in the books. It's Ben and Woods. We'll be right back on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Speaking of Mike Schilt, you will hear Mike Schilt coming up later this morning on the Annie and Elston program.
That's right.
Going to join them, I believe, 10:35 in their first hour of the show today.
Right,
I think that's what I heard him say yesterday. So stay tuned after the Ben and Woods program, whether you're listening on 97.3 The Fan, on the Odyssey app, or on the YouTube stream, or Twitch, or Spotify, wherever. For Mike Schilt, manager of the San Diego Padres, his first interview with our new midday team, Annie and Elston, coming up this morning at 10:35. Looking forward to that. All right, we'll get back to the Padres and Ha-Sung Kim and Dennis's mailbag, but I do want to get to see. You said the audio was raining down from heaven.
It was.
And it has been the last couple of days. And certainly the reaction to the coaching news yesterday, we told you about Bill Belichick out in New England this morning. Yesterday, of course, the main focus was on Pete Carroll out in Seattle, and, of course, Nick Saban announcing his retirement from the Alabama Crimson Tide. 17 seasons, 6 national titles, plus the one he won at LSU in 2003. And to me, the stat that really says it all, and you don't have to be a Nick Saban fan, but I certainly respect this one, and I had to look and make sure that this was correct. Every single player he recruited to Alabama, if they stuck around for 4 years, won at least one national title. There's not one player who came as a freshman, played through their senior year, and at one point during those 4 years didn't win at least one national title under Nick Saban. Every single one of them. And if that doesn't tell you that he's the greatest college football coach, I mean, if not of all time,
never more than a 4-year gap where he didn't
in
win.
modern football history. I don't know what to tell you. I don't think there really is much of an argument for anybody else. If you want to be Bear Bryant had more wins at Alabama than Nick Saban, fine. I've got no opinion or perspective on Bear Bryant.
And in this, listen, and I know when you say in this day and age, the day and age has changed. Let's be clear. It has changed from when Nick Saban started winning national titles at Alabama. It changes every year. We were driving in this morning. We both listened to DA debating, talking about, all right, well, who's the better coach? Who's more accomplished, Bill Belichick or Nick Saban? I really have to lean towards Nick Saban for a couple of reasons. Obviously, your team changes every single year. The other thing is you're coaching children, kids. They're 18, they're men, but at the end of the day, they're in college. And they're kids, and you're getting them to be disciplined and focus and execute all the things he talks about all the time. It doesn't get any better than Nick Saban as far as a college coach goes. It just doesn't, or a football coach. I've grown to like Nick Saban more and more. The older I get, the more I appreciate Nick Saban. And I'm that way with a lot of people, but he's definitely one of them. He has grown on me these last few years. I perceive him as a pretty good man that really does genuinely care about his kids. And I love his coach speak. I love it. I think it's fantastic. Some of the best coach speak I've ever heard.
I'm not going to, so quit asking.
Both of my kids, by the way, say that at home, which is fantastic. Both of them. I'm not going to, so quit asking. It's great. But it's a huge, huge loss for Alabama. It's huge.
Yeah, and there wasn't a ton of smoke leading into it. I think there has been, the last couple of years, he started to get the questions about how much longer do you think? But he didn't leave a trail of breadcrumbs leading to this day.
It's not like the Belichick
No,
stuff.
right. No, where there's speculation for weeks or months that it was going to happen. It came as a shock to at least a good chunk of the Alabama fan base. It came as they celebrated it at Auburn. They celebrated like they just won a national title. The fact that, if that doesn't tell you how
That's
good of a coach Nick Saban is, the fact that his rivals are celebrating his retirement should tell you right there. But, yeah, Alabama fans were sad yesterday, Woods.
Yeah, none more than Roll Tide Willie.
Who's Roll Tide Willie?
Roll Tide Willie he's maybe the biggest Alabama fan ever. And he just does commentary on Twitter. And let me find his account here. It is really, really something else. But this was a huge, Roll Tide Willie and Chad. Chad is his buddy, and Chad will film Willie's reaction. And he got some live reaction yesterday.
Chad may be an evil genius.
Could be.
Yeah,
could be. Here we go.
Willie,
Yes.
just got the news, didn't we, Willie?
Yeah. I ain't too excited about that.
I know it, but look here. All good things come to an end.
Yeah, but my main man is stepping down.
I know it, but listen.
The greatest coach there is.
I know it.
Can't anybody beat him.
I know it. Look, listen. He's the greatest coach there ever was. He's the greatest. He'll go down as the greatest coach ever. Listen to me. But listen.
This right here hurts.
I know it hurts you, and it hurts me. It hurts every Bama fan. And everybody that's not a Bama fan should appreciate the greatness that he's done for college football.
He is the greatest coach of all.
He's the greatest one there ever was.
Boy, nobody ever beat him.
They did.
I know it. Look, it hurts, but Nick Saban, it's time for him to retire. I don't like him retiring, but
But who's gonna fill his shoes? He's right here. It's gonna fill them.
Willie
They
wants
hire
the
me,
job.
I will take over.
I know it, but listen.
And one thing I will do, I am not going to put up with paying the players.
Well,
Pay the
that's
players.
just one of those things that's
No,
does that have to do with anything?
done stupid by doing that. That's Nick is retired now. He couldn't get his players to do what he wanted to do on account of that bullshit.
It ain't funny, Willie. It ain't funny.
It is.
You're right. Listen to me though. Nick Saban's the greatest coach
If
ever
there
was.
ever was, there's another thing. That transfer huddle. You go to the university, we paying you
Pause.
to go there.
He called it the transfer huddle. The word he was looking for was the transfer portal.
That transfer huddle. You go.
Right. This is the transfer portal, Willie.
That transfer huddle. You go to the university, we paying you to go there.
You're not.
You're about to stay there till you retire.
You retire.
Till you graduate,
There you go.
all right? Hell, I'm all upset. I don't know what the hell I'm saying.
That's all right. It's probably
You're
the
upset, ain't
14
you?
Miller Lights,
I'm
too.
mad.
It's all right. Look, we're gonna be all right.
What's the name of the guy with the camera again?
Chad.
Chad.
Chad's a genius.
So Chad basically buys him a case, has him drink it, then turns on the camera, posts it, and collects whatever YouTube royalties he's getting out of.
it's
of Willie. He's an evil genius.
It's some of the purest gold that you can find. Like it is like a river of it. It's melted gold. You just dip your cup in and drink from it. But yeah, Roll Tide Willie.
Yeah, Steve, this is real? No, that is absolutely real. That was not a skit. That was
that's
real.
Not a skit. It is taken. The video is taken literally in the backwoods. He has no shoes on. There is a Miller Lite can at his feet, and he is.
That seems to be his bit. He doesn't wear shoes.
Doesn't wear shoes.
He's in the woods for a lot of these videos that they film.
I think if I was going to turn my program over, my gut tells me that Roll Tide Willie, he runs that program into the ground. Is just that's what my gut tells me.
There's some troubling redneck stereotype tropes going on.
Sure.
With the lack of shoes and the accent and the drinking, obviously.
Sure.
But the passion is real, I think. The
passion
passion
is-
for
is-
Alabama football is absolutely authentic.
I mean, you hear the pain. Like he's legitimately devastated by Nick Saban retiring. Nick Saban is a deity in Tuscaloosa. He is worshipped in Tuscaloosa. So Roll Tide Willie, we're definitely gonna go to that well again at some point. But yeah, that's the reaction that you're getting today. People are devastated about Nick Saban. I saw again one of the greatest tweets I've ever seen about Nick Saban and his future, and it said, "Can we just do like a bar rescue type situation with Nick Saban where he just goes and helps a different program every week?" And I thought that's one of the more genius things I've ever heard in my life.
I would totally watch
I'm here
that
in
show.
San Diego, California.
Here I am in San Diego, California, working with the Aztecs.
And it starts like those shows do, by first exposing all the things they're doing wrong. Like in the bar rescue, they're not keeping the well clean, the bathrooms are
Cockroaches under the
filthy.
refrigerator.
Kitchen nightmares like with Gordon Ramsay, just disgusting. And he goes in with his white gloves and, this is what you're doing, this and this. And then by the end of the episode, they've started to fix things. The program is on a better track, and he leaves them in a much better place than when he left. And it's a real feel-good story.
Yeah. Bar
I
rescue,
would watch that.
coach, program rescue with Nick Saban. I mean, look.
You can have guests come in like we need a caller for take on our real or fake on Thursday. So dial right now 833-288-0973. We're going to play in like a minute. But like, hey, your weight room is horrifically outdated. Look at this. They haven't had these machines in 40 years, and you're still using them. You get your weight guy in there to give him a whole new set. Like, hey, and
welcome to your new weight room.
welcome to your brand new weight room.
Y'all's playbook
that would be a genius show.
Y'all's playbook is in a spiral notebook. I think we can fix that.
Get your iPads, your players here.
I think it's brilliant. And yeah, man, like he'll be missed.
You're still running the triple option. I mean, no one other than Air Force has used that. No, we're going to install a good West Coast offense for you here and get you on track and get your program up and running.
It was a shock. I was shocked when I saw Pete Carroll. I was shocked when I saw Nick Saban. I'm not so shocked for Belichick. But man, like you got some guys out there now. You got some teams that need coaches. I saw this on Twitter. I'm not sure if this is the truth, but you know how weird people are. They go and start tracking stuff. And I heard Dan Lanning is already interviewing in Tuscaloosa. I don't know if I'd buy it.
I saw that too. There was a reporter in Alabama that worked with the University of Alabama prior to where he's at now, and he said, I've got people in there. Dan Lanning's in Tuscaloosa tonight.
I heard someone in Oregon say Dan Lanning was in Eugene like this afternoon, so unless he was on the Concorde, there was no way he could be in Tuscaloosa that evening because he was in Eugene that afternoon. I don't know what to believe at this point.
Nor do I.
He's the favorite, though. There's already
he is the betting favorite?
Odds, yeah. He is the favorite to replace Saban.
And you know, it's such a ripple effect too. You throw a rock in a pond, and it's not just the splash; it's all the ripples. So now, if you're an Alabama recruit that Nick Saban recruited, now you're like, I don't know. I wanted to play for Nick Saban. Somebody else calls you and says, "Hey, man, unrest is never good. The guy could be
Ryan
terrible."
Day calls you,
right? Yeah, Ryan Day calls you. Kirby Smart. But
if you're Alabama though. Your coaching pool is literally every coach on the planet,
it's
right?
It's limitless.
Is there even an NFL coach who wouldn't consider
it.
that job?
Consider.
I would think that he could. That Alabama, with what they could pay, the resources they can provide, could be an appealing job to any football coach on the planet. DeMeco Ryans was an assistant under Saban. Houston Texans head coach, got a great quarterback, just made the playoffs. I would take that call. Absolutely, if I was DeMeco Ryans.
Let me just give you the betting odds here. This came down overnight from Bet Online. Dan Lanning is 3-1. Dabo Sweeney, 4-1.
Dabo has a
couple of rings.
He has an Alabama buyout in his contract with Clemson. No other team except for Alabama would
Lane Kiffin
be able to be bought out.
I think it'd be perfect timing for Dabo to leave Clemson and
wild.
rejuvenate his career again.
And then Deion Sanders is 6-1.
Why not?
Do you want that gig? Do you want to
be the person who succeeds?
No.
Nick Saban. Let's talk about that when we come back to this, but I want to get to our game today. It's time to play a little real or fake.
Some are here for the compelling sports talk with Ben and Woods. Yeah, you can go plow through another donut. It's time for Real or Fake on 97.3 The Fan. Tell the people what they'll win today.
All right, we're trying to qualify someone for a 2-night stay at the Westgate Las Vegas and concert tickets, Tom Kiefer and L.A. Guns on April 11th at the Westgate International Theater. Have you been out again?
You didn't know.
Tom Kiefer and L.A. Guns.
Tom Kiefer was the singer and songwriter for Cinderella.
Wow.
Yes.
Have you been out of the room every time I've said this? So you actually get to hear it this time.
Oh, my God. I'm so excited.
Woodsy's just fired up our prize
Tom
like
Kiefer
10 notches.
And L.A. Guns?
Yes.
Yes.
April 11th at the International Theater.
Oh, my God.
All right. Let's go with Will is our contestant today on Real or Fake. Hi, Will.
How you doing, guys?
Good,
man.
Are you a Padres fan, Will?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, then I think you've got a shot today. I'm putting in a rule, though.
Oh, boy.
There's only one phone a friend for Woods, because I think you should know these. But I was listening to Annie and Elston the other day, and they started talking about hitting coaches for the Padres. And they go, there's been so many of them. You should play a game and just list hitting coaches and try to decide which ones are actually like actual hitting coaches and which aren't. And I texted them and I said, that game's called Real or Fake, and it's mine, and I'm going to do it. So, Will, today I will name a coach. You have to tell me if they were a real Padres hitting coach during A.J. Preller's tenure as general manager or fake, who has never held the job.
Just during Preller's tenure.
Just Preller, yeah. And I won't give you a hitting coach from before. It's either a real hitting coach or not. They're all real names, but not all of them were hitting coaches. So, Will, you ready to play?
Yes, sir.
You get one phone a friend. You need 4 correct out of 7 to qualify for the grand prize. I think you can do this. All right, round 1. Real or fake Padres hitting coach? Alonzo Powell. Real or fake, Will?
I know there's been a couple of Alonsos. I'm going to go fake. I don't know. I think I'm going to go fake on that one.
Sounds real. Sounds real. You get one phone a friend for Woods. All right, round 2. Terry Kennedy. TK. Real or fake Padres hitting coach?
I'll go with my phone a friend for this one.
I'm going to say TK's real.
TK is real, says Woods. Will, you're up to you to make the final decision.
Please be right.
Yeah, I'll go with Woodsy. I think that's real.
Right, solid. You're both wrong.
He was nodding too, like the monster
he was
that
the
he is.
Surf Dogs head coach, but never a Padres hitting coach.
All right, here we go.
All right, here we go. Round 3. Let's get on track here. Mark Kotze. Real or fake Padres hitting coach?
I know the name.
It's real. It's real.
Kill your mic.
It's real.
Yeah, finally you guys got one. All right, you're on the board.
Throat.
All right, round 4. Luis Ortiz. Real or fake Padres hitting coach? Luis Ortiz.
I'm going to go fake.
I would have too. I couldn't remember that. He was actually for interim hitting coach for a month at the end of the season under A.J. Preller. All right, we are now in the torture chamber because you need to get the last 3 right here, Will, in what has turned out to be a much more difficult game of real or fake than I could have imagined. A.J. Preller's only been here for 10 years. All right, round 5. Johnny Washington, real or fake Padres hitting coach, Will?
I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to go fake. Man, wow, I just completely botched that one.
Not Will's day today. That's okay. Thank you for playing, Will. That means no one goes into the hopper today for Tom Kiefer, L.A. Guns at the Westgate.
Bummer, man. Bummer. I hate when people
all right,
lose.
Woods. Well, you even got one wrong.
I did.
Alan Zinter.
Real.
Damian Easley.
Real.
Okay.
Why didn't you just start with the easy ones? Let him get some confidence. Brutal.
I even would have missed Luis Ortiz. I did not remember him at all.
That was all under Preller?
Yeah, those were all, other than Terry Kennedy. He was the only fake. The other 6 were all real.
Oh, God. Wow. All right.
And there was more. I didn't do anyone from the last couple of years because I thought Mike Berdar would be too obvious.
Yeah. Scott Coolball. I didn't do anyone from the last couple.
Those are all from 2015 through like 2021 hitting coaches for the Padres.
Wow.
Thank you for the inspiration, Annie and Elston. All right, Don't Do This is coming up next.
What is Ken Rosenthal's problem? What is his problem?
Cringy column. It's cringy.
Beyond.
Cringy. We'll get to that coming up next after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. All right, let's get right to it. Woodsy, you start us today on Don't Do This.
All right, so Ken Rosenthal wrote a piece in The Athletic detailing some of the pitfalls and pratfalls. Is that a word, pratfall?
Sure.
Of signing players, investing long-term in players in their early 20s, much like the Tampa Bay Rays did with Wander Franco. Based on everything I've seen and read about the situation in Wander Franco's case, I don't think he's ever going to play Major League Baseball again. He's lucky if he doesn't go to prison.
And my guess is the Braves get a lot of that money back,
Rays do?
right?
Yeah, I would imagine.
They're not going to have to pay out that salary. If he's imprisoned and can't play, there are clauses in contracts that are not... I know it's fully guaranteed, but it ain't fully guaranteed against that.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're a part of the team, it's fully guaranteed. Now, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But there was a couple of things, and a lot of people have tagged us in this part. He's talking about Wander Franco and his horrific situation, which is so far out of the realm of what you thought could happen, and then has to get in his shots at our superstar Fernando Tatis Jr., saying essentially, yeah, I mean, look what happened with Fernando Tatis Jr. Signed a huge contract, got in the motorcycle accident, got a wrist injury, took Clostebol. It's the same thing. It's not the same thing, terrible. Number one. But I think really the overarching theme of don't pay players when they're young because they're they could... older guys do weird stuff, too. You know what I'm saying? It was just a very weird kind of portrayal of investing your money in young players.
Urias wasn't a rookie.
Right, yeah, exactly. I mean, and so you look at it and go, number one, you don't really need to lump Fernando Tatis Jr. in.
The Braves regretting investing in Ronald Acuna Jr. right now. I mean,
there's
a lot of counter examples as well as where teams have been smart by investing in young stars early.
Any player in with that conversation, I think, is absurd because
he does say, he says Tatis's actions were not nearly at the level of those Franco's.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for that.
I think for me,
there's no smoke, there's no speculation that Fernando might never play baseball again because of his heinous crimes.
Right, and I think for me, the reason why it's a don't do this, it's a completely unnecessary column. Obviously, every team that signs a player, especially a young one, to a long-term contract, understands there's some risk involved. That's why generally those contracts can be a little more team-friendly, because you don't know exactly the finished product that you're getting in 7 or 8 years. You're taking a gamble on a guy. He's taking a gamble on your organization and sticking around with them. And yes, there's some risk involved with signing a young player, but everybody knows this, Ken. This is not some revelatory genius idea that you just came up with. There could be some risks involved in signing a really young player to a long-term deal. Yeah, the team knew that when they signed him, and they took a gamble on him. And in the case of the Rays, looks like it backfired on Franco. Other teams, it's been hugely successful with guys they've signed.
His quote of, perhaps the team should have proceeded with greater caution, knowing few people in Franco's age range are fully formed adults. It's such a wildly unnecessary take. That's from our buddy Will Holder. There is risk in every long-term deal, every single one of them. And many people of that age have been signed to long-term deals and have gone on to play and recoup and re-up and re-up and re-up. So, yeah, pretty unnecessary column from Ken Rosenthal.
I'm going to update a story that Paulie did yesterday in the Reindl Report. The giant 8-year, $120 million contract extension for Eric Spoelstra, which... It turned out yesterday, people were making the point that the Heat waited until Spoelstra's divorce was finalized to announce the deal, as though, perhaps they were
don't do this,
hoping to avoid paying some alimony or something like that. But the don't do this, I saw a social media post from Nikki Spoelstra, who is the now ex-wife of Eric Spoelstra. They were, by the way, she was a Miami Heat cheerleader. They met while he was working with the Heat. They got married. And she said, and I thought this was very interesting, the criticism that she got is kind of a don't do this for me. So I'm going to address these comments. Because she was getting, way to fumble the bag, like, oh, you're so dumb that you let him go right before this giant contract. She says, According to crass, ignorant, uninformed society at large, women can't win. Women can't genuinely be in love with someone successful. No, they're just pretending they're in it for the money. And then, if a woman chooses not to be with a successful partner, apparently she's an idiot for letting go of the gravy train and not cashing in on all the money that Eric Spoelstra's. And I thought it was a really good point. Everyone who's out there who is making fun of Nikki Spoelstra today, oh, you couldn't have stuck it out a little longer to get that big deal. She's going like, I'm an adult, I'm making these decisions, and you're commenting on my life as though I was only in it for the money, and now I've missed out on the money. You don't really think about it from her perspective, but she made some interesting points yesterday, I thought, on Instagram.
Yeah, I didn't know people were going after her.
Apparently, yeah, she's been getting like people criticizing her, first for being a gold digger for marrying an NBA coach.
Right.
And now for being an idiot for divorcing him before he signs a giant contract extension.
That's a cold move by the Heat, though, to wait.
And I don't know legally, like, if they had already, like, negotiated it.
I don't know how it works either.
I have no idea how that works.
It's Florida, so anything could happen.
All right, finally, a little do this for a Thursday.
So,
DD mega doo-doo.
The update on the Cutter Gauthier story that I told you guys about earlier in the week that's got me by the throat. I love it. So he refused to specify on his refusal to play for the Flyers. Okay, he said it was a personal decision. I don't want to play for the Philadelphia Flyers. It has led people to speculate wildly, right, about why that happened. Now, one guy got dragged into it. Basically his mentor, a guy named Kevin Hayes. He plays forward for the St. Louis Blues. People are saying, "Oh, it was Hayes that got in his ear." Now, he's again a mentor of this guy. He played for the Flyers. May have had some things to say, but there's no proof behind that at all. So this podcast gets on, and they say, no, I've got it under good authority that it was Kevin Hayes that influenced this kid. So now he's on Philly's list as well. Does that make sense to you guys? Former disgruntled player got traded as well. Say, hey, kid, you don't want to play for them. They're a bunch of turds. Could have happened, could not have.
Padres draft some superstar.
Yeah.
He talks to Juan Soto. Juan Soto's like, no.
Don't do it.
Eric Hosmer.
Myers. Yeah, I mean, the list goes on and on. But so essentially, this guy's been getting dragged. Death threats, the whole bit. Philly fans, right? They're going after Kevin Hayes pretty hardcore. Their head coach, John Tortorella, the Flyers head coach, is doing a press conference yesterday.
This is a couple days ago.
Listen to this.
Is the guy here? Is there? Doesn't the guy here that caused Kevin Hayes a problem?
Yes.
You? Yeah. Are you kidding me? You think Kevin Hayes is going to do something like that? It's.
Last question. Person letting the first two buy him.
It pisses me off that you guys throw that around and affect someone's life. No, Kevin Hayes and I had a problem. We couldn't come to an agreement how to play. That's a good man. That's a good man. And what you said is going to stay with him. That's what you guys don't understand. You say something, and you're going to sit there and say you have the right sources. I call. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
They must be done.
Person letting the first two buy him and then shutting the door the rest of the way. How did you think he responded?
Is that the podcast?
Oh,
Excuse
God.
me. Is that silly podcast you guys do?
It is a podcast.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, my God.
The silly podcast.
I loved every second of that.
That was
so that
great.
is the head coach of the Flyers talking about a former
player.
Flyer,
Yeah, now of a
who's
Blue.
now with another team, but he's saying that's a good guy.
That's a good man.
You
put a target
stained
on his back.
reputation.
Yeah, and you put a target on his back. Wow. Torts does not mince words, man. He just does not mince words. Woo! There we go.
That's don't and do this for a Thursday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
We all know the Padres are going to need their superstars to come through. But I want to take a look at the threesome that is left after the Juan Soto trade.
Love a threesome.
A threesome would be fun. It would be fun, especially if they all have good seasons. But the value that each of them needs to bring, a little hypothetical situation, we're going to put on our speculative hats when we come back, Padres fans. Next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Tomorrow is the day for kickoff with Boomer and Valenti. Remember, they come on after the Scraby show now. It's 7 o'clock Friday nights, previewing all the weekend's NFL action. And are we going to do picks today, later, or are we going to do them tomorrow?
Paulie says
NFL
tomorrow.
Games? Tomorrow? Okay.
Yeah.
They'll do their picks tomorrow as well.
I just figured we'd wait till
Probably
tomorrow.
do it tomorrow.
Let's wait till
Friday,
tomorrow.
something. We need to save something for Friday.
Absolutely.
Boomer and
People
Valenti.
love to hear your picks.
Presented nationally by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos brought to you by those who drink it, and by Lowe's. Lowe's knows home improvement. So there is a path, I think, for the Padres to have a really, really good 2024. It wasn't quite as clear-cut as last year's
You're
path.
a sweet kid.
You are a sweet, sweet kid.
Last year's path was pretty obvious. Just
Felt
show
obvious.
up and
show and go.
Everyone play like you should, and
100 games.
you're gonna roll right to a huge season. Didn't work out. Today, this year's path is a little more cloudy.
As it stands today, sure. The
But-
roster's going to look different in a month or so.
And we don't even know what it completely looks like. But I know exactly where it starts. And we'll get to that right after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Good idea to give yourself extra time this morning, guys. Take it extra carefully once you are out there. We've got some slick roadways thanks to some scattered showers around the county. Northbound side of the 805, still clearing a crash near Plaza Boulevard. It's over the right shoulder, up ahead before University. Accident involving a car and a motorcycle. It's in the center divide. Also some defective traffic signals causing a bit of confusion on the E Street off-ramp. Northbound 5. Eastbound 905 just before La Media. There's a collision blocking the fast lane. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Now, I've been a Padres fan my entire life, and I have gone into seasons with completely delusional aspirations for the team. Like when you're hoping, well, I mean, you know, if Joey Cora hits 27 home runs, I think we could have a really good year this year. And just imagining things that couldn't possibly. If every single infielder has the best year of their career, I think the Padres could be a playoff team this year.
Phil Plantier is going to find the next level. He's going to lock it in, and it's on. It's on.
Adam Eaton takes the next step and wins a Cy Young Award.
Yeah.
I think the Padres pitching rotation could really carry them into a September pennant race.
What I wouldn't do to go back and get audio of you and our beloved Craig Elston, pre-game, preseason.
And just like now, Craig would be the more level-headed. I'd be the more optimistic of the duo back then. But those were some of the worst teams.
Well, the funny thing is too about that is that you are a glass half full type of person, and because you work on the flagship, though, people think that you have to be that. That's genuinely who he is. And by the way, it's genuinely who he's always been.
It is.
Long before 97.3 The Fan was a glint in your eye, my friend.
It is. And this year, there is an element of that to what the Padres need to do to be successful. But the good news here is that when I say the Padres are going to need at least one of their stars to have a career-type season, it's not a crazy thing to expect that of a Fernando Tatis Jr., a Manny Machado, or a Xander Bogaerts. You're not asking players who've never done it before to all of a sudden step their game up 7 levels to make it competitive. You're asking 3 guys who have put up in various, places and times in their careers outstanding numbers, and you're just asking them to match the high end of those numbers.
Yes.
And you do that, you're starting in a really good place. Now, they can't do it alone, and there's still work to be done. But it's hard to imagine the Padres overcoming mediocre average seasons by all 3 of those guys. If Manny doesn't have a better year than last year, or Xander, has another slow start, or
Tatis
he had
a fast start and a slow middle.
And a slow middle, or Tatis doesn't, quite come back
going
from where he was, even though he did some good things last year. Padres don't have the firepower to overcome that. But so I think, obviously, they're going to need something special from that threesome.
They're gonna need a really biblical performance from one of those guys.
And here's my question then, my hypothetical. If you could pick one of those 3 guys and say, this guy is going to be locked in and going to have one of the best seasons of their life in 2024, which is not a crazy thing to ask.
No, it's not.
Which one would you pick? And then the other 2, you're like, take my chances. They may have average or above average or slightly below average. You're taking your chances on the other two, but you can guarantee one of those guys is going to have a phenomenal season. Which one to you would you pick as the guy you want to be the driving force for the 2024 Padres?
I think there's only one answer
Really?
to this question, and I think it's Fernando Tatis Jr. I think it starts and stops with him, and I think he has, by far, the highest ceiling of any of those guys.
You're not wrong about that, but I think you're absolutely wrong in your answer for that. And here's why. I think Fernando Tatis Jr. is the guy of those three that I most would just take my chances with. I don't think he can have a bad season. Yeah. Honestly,
Knock
he's
on
too
wood.
well, I mean, anyone can get hurt, whatever, but I think he's too athletic, he's too talented, he's too good defensively that even like last year when he had a pretty, for him, I think mediocre season, it's still really special. To me, I think Xander Bogaerts is the guy that I would want to have like a career season. If you know Xander's mashing, I'll take my chances with Manny. Consistency of Manny, the floor of Tatis, and just what he can bring
That's
athletically. And to me, if Xander is the one who jumps up and does like the maximum of what we saw in Boston when he was leading them to a title, to me, he's the one you start with. Like if you're a Padres fan, you want one guy to have a really great season. I'm starting with Xander Bogaerts this year as the guy I'm hoping on.
His best year would have been 2019. 33 bombs, 117 RBIs, 309 batting average,
that's nasty,
384 OBP.
If they get that, something right around that from Xander Bogaerts, and I take my chances with the other two, and maybe they also have good seasons.
I think
that's pretty special right there.
Maybe I misunderstood the gist of the question. For me, Tatis is the youngest. He has the most, I think, to prove. He also has the ability, Ben, to hit 50 bombs and steal 50 bags.
He does.
He has the ability to win an MVP. Not that the other two don't, but I think number one, it will be the prettiest MVP season you've ever seen. It will be far prettier than anything Xander and Manny can put together, I think. It will be 5 tools across the board. It will be
like Tatis's best season of his career.
Will be amazing.
Could look like 55 bombs,
right,
a gold glove.
Will be amazing.
So for me, he's also, and we've said this before, like he is the guy that everybody should kind of put their ego aside a little bit and say, all right, you kid, you're it. We ride. That, in my opinion, and I've heard that from a lot of baseball people that said, no, people should be following him. Give him the keys, give him the reins, and get on his back, and let's see what he can do. So for me, I think it's more important to the long-term health of the franchise as well, but that balloon needs to pop. That it really, really does.
I think there is an argument, though, also to be made for Manny Machado.
No doubt.
And the argument for Manny and going, I would love to see the career year out of him and take the chances with the other two guys, coming off the injury, just to guarantee that he's healthy, and we've seen what the Padres can do when Manny is at his best. And how many times did I say this last year?
That was actually, Manny had that season, that second in MVP, when he wasn't at his best. Truly, he was on one leg half the year.
And how many times have I said over the last few years, as Manny goes,
they go.
So go the Padres. I think that's the argument for Manny Machado, that we've never seen the Padres look bad if Manny is playing at his best.
Well, the other thing, too, is even in a down year for Manny Machado, I'm down. That's why I'm down to take my chances with Manny, because I know I'm going to get 30 home runs, and I know I'm going to get a lot of games played.
Yeah. In 2022, they didn't have Fernando Tatis Jr. at all, but they had a really good MVP-type Manny Machado, and they ended up getting to where they wanted to go. I think that's the argument you make for Manny. I think Tatis, you're right. The argument is the ceiling and just the transcendent MVP season he could put up if he was at his best. But I'm sticking with Xander Bogaerts, knowing there's so much more than we saw last year in a fully healthy, performing Xander Bogaerts, that if he could put up those numbers that Paulie just told us, the 30-plus bombs, 115, 20 RBI, hitting over 300, that I'll take my chances with the other two. And that, to me, is a extremely dangerous core of your lineup that needs help around it, but not as much as you would think. We never saw it, really. We never saw all three of those guys at the same time clicking. And if it does happen at some point this year, you better believe the Padres are going to be a dangerous team in 2024. Now, there are a lot of ifs on that. There's health. There's, bouncing back from what, Xander and getting to where he needs to be. And you can't count on that, and the Padres need to factor that in. That you can't just assume those guys are going to always have their best seasons, but there is a path. There's absolutely a path for the Padres in 2024 to still be a really good team.
To make some noise, certainly. I'm not going to go into this baseball season, looking at a glass and saying, no, I mean, we have no chance. I mean, they're all uphill battles. It's going to be an uphill battle for the Dodgers, and they are stacked, Ben. They put a complete target on their back. The Dodgers are going to get everybody's best all year long, like the Aztecs get. Every time the Aztecs get played, Ben, they want to beat the San Diego State Aztecs every single time in the Mountain West. You're going to have a target on your back. And, lying in the weeds, going out, seeing what you can do. You're going to be down a couple of superstars or whatever. Listen, stranger things have happened.
Caitlin in our chat, I love Caitlin. She's smart because she put in the comments, the only right answer is Jake Cronenworth.
Oh, if he has a good year.
And the reason I kept him out of the trio that I wanted to discuss is because that is so obviously the right answer.
Right, yeah.
It's not even worth discussing.
That is the 100% right answer.
The Padres don't have any left-handers. And if they need someone to have a good season, and you're just picking, I need someone to have their best season, it's Jake. And I'll take my chances with all three of those.
No question.
Right.
Yeah, the conversation ends.
And please, give me 20 home runs from Jake and
what is a career year
a 280
for Jake
average
like?
And stolen bases and great defense at second or wherever they put him. And he's left-handed, which balances out the Padres lineup. Absolutely, a bounce-back season from Jake Cronenworth is the right answer. The problem is that goes back to, my dreaming Padres days. You're now all of a sudden hoping on something that there's not a lot of evidence to support it at this point. Jake has gone the wrong direction the last 2 years. You could bet on Jake because you believe in him and we like him.
You love him, yeah.
And he's putting in the work, but the evidence is not there to support the idea that Jake can have a huge season this year. I would love for him to come out of left field. Guys do it. They have 2 bad seasons. Ask Cody Bellinger. You have 2 bad seasons. You come back, you have a really good season. Jake's last couple of months before he got hit on the wrist and was out for the last month were actually pretty good. 750 OPS around there. I'd take that from Jake next year. It's certainly in there still. But that requires a little more cross your fingers, close your eyes, and please, Jake, have a really good season. I would love it more than anything else because the Padres need a left-hander to have a good season, and Jake is the Caitlin. You are savvy there because that's absolutely the right answer.
That's the only answer. Yeah. And honestly, out of all the people, we're heading out to spring training in a couple of months or whatever. He's the guy I'm most interested in talking to, and I love Jake. We have a good relationship, our show and him. But I want to know, how he's feeling. What did he do? How is he, planning to change it, it's such.
Or is it like Will Myers, where you tinker so much and you never ever get locked in? Do you overwork it? Do you underwork it? I don't know what you do.
I'm excited to talk to him, though. I am, and there's a good baseball player in there. There absolutely,
of course, there is.
He's a really good
We've
baseball
seen
player.
It.
Yeah,
He's a 2-time All-Star.
Yep, 100%. So I think he is going to be a fascinating interview subject in spring training this year. Hopefully he comes out, man, on a mission to prove a lot of people wrong.
Here's the problem. I think he was a man on a mission last year. The mission just never got accomplished. I think he's always been a man on a mission.
That's a good point.
I don't doubt. I wish the problem was simply that Jake rolled in last year and thought it was all going to come his way and, learned his lesson, and now he's going to prepare this year. It's not.
No, it's not.
He came in on a mission, and he just couldn't figure it out. That's almost harder than maybe getting overconfident and learning a lesson. I don't think that's Jake's problem.
I told you my theory. His old college buddy was the hitting coach, and he was the only one that subscribed to his methods, and it didn't work for him. I think he's going to have a much better year.
I would love it. Absolutely love it. All right, Padres hypotheticals. This is what we've been reduced to when A.J. Preller makes no moves.
I love it.
Maybe Mike Schilt will give him something to talk about on Annie and Elston a little bit later. We'll come back. 2 hours to go. Stephen A. goes on a rant and more, all coming up here on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we are halfway home on a Thursday. It's January 11th, and just want to remind you guys, if you're listening to Ben and Woods, please do us a favor, and if you listen If you watch us on YouTube, just subscribe to the YouTube feed. That'd be great. Give us a like as we try to build the YouTube following. You know, the goal, obviously, is that we just leave Odyssey in the dust and we're the next Pat McAfee show making millions and millions of dollars, Ben in a tank top, me staring at the camera. And
you're making Michael nervous right now.
No, I mean, listen,
boss.
you know, you gotta plan for the future. You want to build
Our contract's up in like 3 years.
That's exactly right. Our contract just started 11 days ago. We're already crying about the next one. I don't know, man.
We did that all of last year.
We did it all of last year. Drove them insane. Insane. So just messing with you. But no, please subscribe to the thing. Right?
I mean, hell, Michael's probably in the YouTube chat
He's
right
probably
now.
in there, right? That guy loves
You
to
just
sniff
want to
around.
have the highest numbers possible to stroke your ego.
No, I don't care about that at all. I don't care about likes. I would never buy followers or
Oh, there he
anything
is,
like
Michael.
that. Is it what he say?
Just give me a break.
I knew it. I knew it.
You got 3 years of torture coming your way, buddy. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl. He's the executive producer.
Love you, Michael.
And Paulie handles all of the YouTube stuff as well. Has really done a great job getting us out there to you guys every single day. Benjamin Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor as well. Want to remind everyone, we'll be out at Fantasy Camp next week, starting on Tuesday. Now, you're going to get the radio show. You're going to get a ton of guests coming by. We're going to be talking a ton of baseball. You're going to get some live streams. We'll do some public live streams as well. We'll do a member stream for our members as well. So good time to sign up and join. We're going to have some killer content you're not going to be able to find anywhere else.
Yeah,
You're going to get it from us.
You and me might mess around over the weekend,
Yeah.
but we'll do, and I'll throw it up on the YouTube stream over the next 2 days, but we will do our first members-only stream Monday night, I think, right?
Okay,
When
yeah,
Benny
Monday
gets
night.
in.
Yeah, you guys are leaving tomorrow.
Yeah, we're leaving tomorrow right after the show.
10:01.
And going to Arizona. You'll be there all weekend. I'm not joining you until Monday. We're off Monday morning for the MLK holiday.
Yes.
And then we'll be there, the shows in the morning, Tuesday through Friday next week.
Yep. So
And I'm not doing TV. I've taken it off.
I love it, man.
So you guys can have my full and undivided attention all day long.
And more importantly, all night long. What might the three of us get up to while we're out in Peoria, Arizona?
My suggestion, a little sleep.
Little sleep.
Would be nice.
Maybe a wheel of meatballs is in the cards.
Take you to the meatball restaurant, the Ferris wheel of meatballs.
Maybe we save that one for spring training. But you never know. There's been some things that our young friend has never experienced. And maybe we can knock some of those things out while we're out at spring training.
Gotta find the best one, and
Yes. Will you?
we're gonna have to we're gonna have to drive to like Scottsdale, right? Downtown.
No, I think the first one should be in Peoria. Yeah.
Talking about gentlemen's clubs.
Yeah, potentially. Bring some ones, some singles.
Now, I think I'd enjoy a gentleman's club where we get like a top hat and tails and a cane, perhaps.
Yes.
And we all
Like
go
a literal
in
gentleman's
and we
club.
act
Ben
like
shows
gentlemen.
We go and we act like gentlemen.
Maybe we sit in a study and have a scotch.
Yeah, have a scotch.
While we wear a top hat.
Smoke a
That's
cigar.
the kind of gentleman's club that I think I could get behind. But it'd have to be open to the ladies as well. We want an all-inclusive gentleman's club.
Gentle People's
Gentle
Club?
People's Club,
All right.
perhaps.
Okay.
That's not the kind of gentleman's club that you have in mind.
I'm surprised that you don't belong to a gentleman's club like that already.
Just don't know that they exist anymore.
Well, they
but
might.
certainly there's an appeal to it.
Well, we're excited about that, man. Love being out there. Love being around the game, certainly. And the cool thing too is there's always some dudes walking around. I mean, we
got plenty to choose from.
Plenty to choose from. We talked to Strami. When he was here, he used to be out there working out early. There's always a couple of guys straggling and getting their workouts in, and they're throwing and getting some BP. The worst part is when you're old, creaky asses out on the baseball field, and those guys walk by and they'll stop. Like the prospects will stop and watch the game, and you're on the mound or something. You're like, all right, I'm throwing 61 miles an hour. And you see them snickering.
And they're
at
wondering,
you.
what kind of guys are we signing here now?
They call their agent. They're like, they're desperate. Like, you got to get me the hell out of here.
Is this outfielder tryouts for the big league club? Because this is not looking too good.
There's one guy, at first, he's 70 years old. Like, how bad has it gotten here? How broke are we?
How about the autograph hounds for the alumni?
It's the best. Autograph people come out for the alums.
If you have ever gone out to Padres spring training, not fantasy camp,
Right.
spring training, you can see 75 active players in uniform walking from the clubhouse
Ethan Salas
to
out there.
the fields, and you can talk to them sometimes on their way. Sometimes the guys will get on a golf cart and just go blow past everybody, but you can go say hi, get autographs as they're walking from field 2 to field 3 and stuff like that. And it's a ton of people because it's spring training. At Padres Fantasy Camp, there is nobody there except for the campers.
And the veteran. And the old Padres.
The alumni.
Yeah.
And it's just a bunch of overweight old guys that have no business in City Connect uniforms, by the way, this year.
It's us.
And we're walking from the Padres clubhouse, Manny Machado's locker, over to field 2, and then we'll be walking with Andy Ashby and Mark Grant, and there's like 3 old dudes.
3 dudes.
Drive to the Peoria Sports Complex with a binder full of baseball cards.
Hey, Mud.
Hey, Mark Grant, can you sign my card
It's
for
the
me?
best,
And they'll
dude.
sign 19 cards.
Yeah.
And they're just like, who the hell are these people in uniform?
So
It's
you
so
guys
good.
actually bump the I know there's not a lot of big leaguers there, but you're using the real major league clubhouse.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So if there was like a major leaguer who happened to be there, do they get bumped to the minor league clubhouse while the fantasy campers
I think
are
so.
there?
Yeah, Strom.
Jankowski.
Strom lived there, so he would just come in.
Right. And
Travis Jankowski was out there working out. He would be Manny Margot.
Yep,
was
Manny
out,
Margot was there.
always out there in January, and they get like bumped to the minor league.
Yeah, to the minor league
clubhouse
locker room.
And then we've had this is our 5th year going. I think 2, maybe 3 years. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. Jessie is the only female that comes out to camp, and she is a baller, dude. She plays a mean
She's got a
outfield.
game-winning hit off me.
Yeah, game-winning hit
Served
off
it
of
up,
Woodsy. Just
man.
knocked it right over my head into left field. And so she has her own dressing room. She got to use her locker room was Bob Melvin's office.
Bob Melvin's office last year. Yeah, it was great, man. It was great. So much fun. So we'll be bringing you all that next week. We got some fun ideas. So yeah, I appreciate you guys being here and gonna hopefully get the baseball fever up in this town again a little bit. It's a little bit low right now, and I understand why. I really do. And I told you guys about the tweet I got earlier yesterday about, hey man, I think local media needs to bang their fists a little bit more about, where's the voice of the Padres. And I'm going to say this, and I mean this. This is not, I really do mean this. This has been such a tumultuous offseason so far. It has. I give everyone a little bit of a breath. I give everyone a little bit of a pass. When Peter Seidler passed away, it wasn't completely unexpected to a lot of people, but I feel like the team, the fan base, I feel like everyone's reeling a little bit. I feel like A.J. Preller is reeling a little bit for a good reason. That he lost his mentor, right? A guy that really, really believed in him and allowed him to do some really amazing things. I think the entire organization is probably a little bit topsy-turvy right now. So as much as I would love to have Eric Katsenda on the show, I would love it. I would take him right now. I would bump other guests if we had them. I would love to hear somebody come in and calm down the fan base a little bit. Just because I do think the fan base deserves that. They do, because it's been so tumultuous. But I understand their reasoning not to. I do. Both things are true for me.
I don't know that they have any answers right now. Even if we had someone on to ask questions of, there's so much that the Padres probably don't know about the future. I mean, what would be one question you'd want to ask Eric Katsenda if he was on the phone right now? Like, what's the plan for the payroll for the next, 3 or 4 years for the Padres, and after Peter's passing? And I don't know that they can give an answer to that question. It may look very different if the Padres end up having a good year this year and maybe make the playoffs and Petco Park remains packed.
Maybe it changes.
And they get a new TV deal this year and it's going well. It may look very different than what it looks like if the Padres are out of contention and Petco Park starts getting a little emptier in August and September and a TV deal doesn't really materialize the way they thought. It could be a very different answer for those two scenarios, and we don't know which one's going to play out. So I'm not sure even the Padres would have answers to the questions, the kind of questions that we would want to ask at this moment. But I'm glad you brought up Peter Seidler because I meant to mention this earlier. There's very little we can all agree on politically nowadays, but last night, Todd Gloria, the mayor of San Diego, gave his State of the City address. And I think one thing that we can all agree on was the idea that he said that he is working on, that sometime soon they will be renaming one of the streets by Petco Park Peter Seidler Way. in honor of the Padres chairman, which to me is absolutely a deserved and much needed honor that we can have something in perpetuity. I know we've talked statues, and they're going to do maybe they'll announce it right around the memorial for Peter Seidler that they're going to do in March coming up, that the Padres have announced it's going to go on. But that will be a well appreciated honor for Peter Seidler that the city of San Diego is working on making happen right now.
Yeah, I agree, and more to come, certainly, I'm sure, as it pertains to Peter Seidler. But, yeah, it's just it's a weird feeling for us to be there, too. And, I don't know that anyone can give us the answers that we want. And that gets frustrating. And I certainly appreciate and feel your frustration. I hear it. I see it. You're not wrong at all for wanting to be calmed down, because that does go a long way. I mean, if it's going to be bad, you can just tell us it's bad, and we'll get over it and we'll find a way to deal with it. But it's just been so tough this offseason since
even if AJ Preller was sitting here right now and we had him on the polygraph machine and he had to tell the truth and say, all right, how are you going to fill your outfield?
Hey,
my guess is he would say something to the effect of, well, I mean, if we can land someone at a reasonable price in free agency, I'd love to go that direction, but there's no guarantee that we're going to do that. So I'm also exploring the trade market, and obviously I don't want to give up my best prospects, but
we know this.
It depends on what other teams are interested in and asking for and who's actually available, so we're pursuing that angle as well. And if we can't find any of those, we might have to trust some of our minor leaguers a little bit earlier. I don't know that AJ Preller can answer any of those questions right now. He's going to follow all of those tracks simultaneously. And at some point, a decision, he'll have to go in a direction, and hopefully it'll be the right direction for the Padres. And it might be free agency, it might be a trade, it might be more towards some of the younger minor leaguers. But I don't think they've already, there's no way we're signing any more free agents. I don't think they're thinking that. There's no way we're making a trade. No, I don't think they're ruling that out either. There's no way we can play Jacob Marciette. He's too young. Maybe they will play him. I think they're not even sure of that answer right now, and they're going to have to see how things play out over the next couple of months.
Like I said, it's topsy-turvy in there, and as a sports radio host and a morning show host, yeah, I want answers. I demand answers. But I also give you a little bit of a pass because this has been an offseason like no other. And a loss of that magnitude certainly makes it a lot tougher. So I hear you. The ask is in. We continue to ask. Nobody's hiding from anything on our end. We're absolutely trying to get those answers for you, and they're just not ready to talk right now. And to be honest, I don't really blame them right now. And I hate to tell you, well, let's just see how it shakes out. Ben tells me all the time, you can't do that in sports radio. You have to have a firm take. My firm take is that, yes, people do want answers and people want to be calmed down, and you are absolutely right for feeling that way. That's my firm take.
I think the problem is...
Turn your mic on.
I think the problem is that you have to commit to this team. You're buying season tickets, and you want to know before you commit, but you can't necessarily know all those answers right now.
Yeah, it's a leap of faith, certainly.
All right, let's check traffic. We'll come back. I want to play some audio. We talked about Nick Saban earlier, but the other big coaching news yesterday was Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks, at least changing the nature of their relationship with him no longer being the head coach going forward. And I thought the best piece of audio yesterday came from Pete Carroll in his news conference. We'll get to that coming up after a check traffic and a break here. Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Got school in session in here, Benjamin. And our beloved boss, Adam Klug, in here.
He's trying to stay out of the camera range, I believe, but he is hiding.
Adam. You want to say hi?
He's hiding behind. There he is.
There he is. Hey, handsome.
Good morning, Adam.
Guys in here. You know, like when you were in elementary school, you'd be sitting in class. The principal would come in with a yellow legal pad. He would come in and I'm just here to observe. Adam's in here observing right now.
You knew the teacher was really nervous then at that point?
God, yes. I'm a little nervous with him being
she
in here.
Prepped you before the class. Like, the principal's going to be in, so please
don't act
be
a
on
fool.
your best behavior. Just for the hour while he's here at this point, just because let's put our best foots forward, people.
Let's do it. Our best feet
forward.
Yeah, more foots.
I've always been a fan of Scott Van Pelt, one of my favorite sportscasters.
Very much.
SVP Sports Center. I think he does a great job. Always starts with the best thing I saw today. I know it would be a complete ripoff, but I've always kind of wanted to do what's the best thing I heard today for the radio. And maybe there's always good audio. It probably would end up being that Nick Saban. What was his name? The fan? Willie?
Oh, yeah.
Roll Tide Willie. Willie. That was maybe the best thing I heard today. Although yesterday for me, the best thing I heard yesterday was Pete Carroll's news conference. And by the way, props to Pete Carroll, who clearly was not ready yet to step down as head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. Yet, after meeting with the organization and realizing that they had pretty much made up their mind, went and decided to be classy and didn't go up and trash the organization. He simply went up and...
This is pretty shocking, though.
It was very shocking.
It
was
Saban
very shocking.
and Carroll are 1A and 1B as far as the shocking news goes.
Yeah.
Well, and did you guys see the picture that was posted of him after the game, just standing
after their last
game, standing in the end zone, just kind of looking out over the field?
It's like he knew.
Like he knew. It was crazy.
And he had said just a couple of weeks ago he was all in on returning for next season. So it may have come as a bit of a surprise to him that they didn't want him back for 2024. But he got up and said his piece, didn't dismiss the idea of coaching again, said he fought hard to want to stay coach, but...
Said he went in there and competed.
Yeah,
competed.
He made his case why he thinks he should come back. But ultimately he said, we mutually decided it would be best to move on. And there's plans to make him an advisor of some sort. My guess is if someone else came calling, he'd answer that phone call,
sure,
though, if it's not from the Seattle Seahawks. But the best thing I heard yesterday was when Pete Carroll, who seems to be, and I know he was at USC, so you probably have your doubts, but he's always seemed to me to be a pretty good guy, a pretty genuine, cool guy. And when he talked about the support he's gotten from his wife over the years, got me. It actually got me here.
I've been blessed with like the rarest of best friends and mentor, loving partner, the angel in my life. This is worth crying for. Glenn, nobody would ever understand how significant. She's been through all of the stuff that we've been through, and how important she is. As she's just been the angel in my life, and I owe you everything.
Wow, dang, dude.
Just up in front of everybody, a little raw emotion. Obviously, he made strong connections with all of his players, both professionally when he was in college as well. Players seem to love Pete Carroll, but seems like he was that way off the field as well. And I don't know if you saw the little thread from Jesse Agler yesterday, but the voice of the Padres, Jesse Agler, just contributed a non-baseball story, which is rare for Jesse. He said, quick Pete Carroll story. In between his time with the Patriots and at USC, I met him several hours before a Pitt-Miami game at the old Orange Bowl. His son played for Pitt. I was just walking around the field before the game with my friend, and we approached him on the sideline of the empty stadium. We were trying to place who he was, knew him, but this was out of context. We were like 19. Anyway, it clicked, and we came up to him. Hi, Mr. Carroll. And he proceeded to just be the coolest, nicest person we had ever met. We walked away in total awe of his energy and kindness and remarked he would make an amazing college coach because who wouldn't want to play for him? Went to SC the next year, and the rest is history. Salute to a guy who made a really wonderful impression on a couple of college kids. Just seems to me like Pete Carroll, everyone in college, they'll have their moments, obviously, and USC, it ended with some rules violations and some controversy, but ultimately, I got to say, Pete Carroll seems like he's got to be one of the good guys in sports.
Yeah, I agree. Super high energy dude as well. And
for 72 now, ridiculously high energy.
Bro, I am 40, almost 49, and I have a tenth of what that guy possesses.
He'd whoop your ass.
He would whoop my ass. Anything.
He's out there running up and down the sideline, slinging the ball around pregame.
I'm like, oh my God. 10:03. I'm like about to fall out every day. It's interesting too, because when you think about the teams now that need a head coach in the NFL, what's the best situation? What's the best situation out there? That's up there. I think Seattle is a good situation.
He even made the case. He said, I think this team has a very promising future. He goes, not that there isn't work to be done, but I love the spot that we're in right now. And Seattle's a great place at this moment. So that is a good spot. But I went back earlier and I said, I don't think I'd hire Bill Belichick. Honestly, I feel like, you've got a couple of years, 3 more years, whatever, before he actually does retire. I would hire Pete Carroll. If I was an NFL team and I'm looking for a coach right now, even if I know he's got the energy. He might go for another 5 or 6 years if he wanted. But he will sell your team.
He will.
Unlike Bill Belichick, he will come up and he will rile up the fans and he will get people excited. And maybe he's not as accomplished. I mean, he has a Super Bowl ring. He doesn't have, 6 of them, but he's got a Super Bowl ring. And I just feel like Pete Carroll would be more of my guy to hire for a short-term fix to turn things around than Bill Belichick would be at this point. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I wonder if this will be a mistake for the Seattle Seahawks right now, making this move. He's been there a while, man. I mean, you always say coaches are hired to get fired, and he's not immune. And there's so much to learn about his situation, so much to learn about the Saban situation in Alabama, the Belichick situation. The writing's been on the wall. Time for him to probably move on. It's just going to be interesting to see if any of these guys end up coaching again. Will it be a Michael Jordan with the Washington Wizards look? Will it be when you look at him and go, ugh, Greg Maddux with the Padres, right? Is it going to be one of those weird year or two somewhere that just doesn't seem to make sense with any of those
I heard
guys?
with Seattle, maybe like a Dan Quinn or a Raheem Morris. Feels like you're downgrading.
I've got the odds, the betting odds for the Seahawks
okay,
coach
tell
as
me.
well. We did Alabama earlier. Bet Online also sent out the next Seahawks head coach odds. Dan Quinn is 1-1.
Dan Quinn.
By
that
far.
feels like a downgrade.
It
from Pete
is,
Carroll.
I feel like.
Well, he's with them for a long time.
under Pete Carroll. I mean, that feels to me like a downgrade. Like
I guess, if you're gonna keep Pete Carroll's guy, why not just keep Pete Carroll?
And rehire Dan Quinn as your coordinator.
Number 2 at 4-1 odds, Mike Vrabel. Then you go down the list, like 12-1 odds is Jim Harbaugh.
I think Vrabel makes more sense in New
Eric
England.
Bieniemy, Kellen Moore 18-1, Bill Belichick is 22-1 odds, Raheem Morris 25-1, and then they
Can you imagine going from Pete Carroll to Bill Belichick?
They just threw him in there at the end. 100-1 odds, both. Marshawn Lynch and Richard Sherman.
Interesting. Marshawn as the head coach would be the greatest thing ever.
Unbelievably good.
They say Gerard Mayo has the inside track, I think, at the New England job. He's on the staff, though. I mean, does that change the direction of where you've been heading? I mean, he's doesn't have the same personality, obviously, as Bill Belichick, but he's learned at Bill Belichick's feet. That's all he's really known. So, I don't know. Vrabel at least has a track record. You can make the New England ties. He seems like he's a hot name. I would put him to the front of the line if I was the New England Patriots right now.
Yeah, be interesting. I want to get into this Stephen A. Smith audio.
Right. I know you've been waiting.
Paulie's had to edit it like crazy.
It's rare that I would sit down and watch an entire hour-long podcast. I just don't have time for it. But I got through most of it last night just because he's oddly compelling. The way he looks at you, stares you down in the camera with such passion.
Wait, he talks.
Yeah.
That guy delivers a message.
He does.
Unlike anybody I've ever heard.
This is fantastic audio.
His message was directed at a fellow writer, a former colleague.
Yes, and I have a question that many people were saying, Ben, about insulting someone. And is that the lowest? Do you lose the argument when you devolve into name calling? I wanted to get your take on the proper way to argue.
That's coming up next with Ben and Woods. Don't go away. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 3 days, 6 playoff games for you here on 97.3 The Fan and on the Odyssey app. Get them all from Westwood One. Saturday, wildcard playoff doubleheader starts at 1 o'clock. It is the Browns and Texans, followed by the Dolphins at the Chiefs. Then Sunday, triple header. Coverage begins at 9:30 in the morning. Kickoff at 10 o'clock. Steelers at Bills. Packers at Cowboys, and then Rams at Lions. And then finally, Monday Night Football Wild Card Edition, the Eagles and the Bucks. That's a 5 p.m. kickoff, coverage at 4:30 right here on 97.3 The Fan. All coming your way, Woodsy, this weekend.
I'm ready for it, man. I told you, I get to watch football unfettered. I'll be in Arizona. My kids can't fetter me while I'm there, and I will be unfettered.
Defettered.
I'll be defettered. Laying on the couch with Paulie.
Stephen A. Smith defettered himself yesterday when it came to taking shots at a former colleague. We will get to that coming up after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Trip on westbound 8 out of the East County just got ugly. Got a crash at Severn, blocking the 3 right lanes. Several vehicles involved in that tangle, so you want to give yourself plenty of extra time. Also, northbound side of the 125 past Troy Street, there is a collision involving a couple vehicles. They're in the center divide. Going to find on the southbound 15, just before the 76, a collision involving a box truck and a car. They're in the center divide. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, I find Stephen A. Some people can't stand him. I find him very oddly compelling. I don't always agree with him.
I love him. Wildly entertaining.
Is he over the top? Is he ridiculous at times? Yes. Can I enjoy the ridiculousness of Stephen A. Smith, though? We had him on the show, remember, early in
Can we be ridiculous? Can we be over the top
Sure.
at times? Of course. It's performative. It's theatrical.
I enjoy him. I do. I enjoy him very much. I think I am wildly in awe of the empire that he has built. I love everything about him. I do. He has terrible takes sometimes. I do. You do. Paul does. We all do. Everybody has those in this business.
But I don't think he's a buffoon. Some people will say Stephen A. Smith is a buffoon. I disagree with that pretty strongly.
Only when he's talking about baseball. But other than that, everything else is really, really great.
He can sound buffoonish at times because of his delivery and how enthusiastically he will offer his opinions
and dig in,
But I think the takes behind Stephen A. Smith are generally fairly well thought out, well reasoned.
You don't want to make an enemy out of me.
No, I don't.
And I'm looking right into the camera, and I'm gonna say it again. You do not want to make an enemy out of me. I'm not having it.
It kills me, man.
With all due respect, shut the hell up.
It kills me. I think he's great.
But he made an enemy. Or someone made an enemy out of him.
Correct.
To be more precise. And
That's right, I said it.
I don't know the whole backstory here, but just the fact that he went on
Jason Whitlock's been going after him for like 10 years.
Hour-long rant yesterday is pretty epic for Stephen A. Smith.
Well, go back, because Stephen A. Smith, and I'm going to pull it up, he tweeted out yesterday letting everybody know what was coming. And he has not mentioned Jason Whitlock's name at all. And he's just been getting attacked. And yesterday he said, "Today is the day I finally speak my mind about that no good fat bastard."
Wow, holy smokes.
You know who I'm talking about. Recording now, you will want to see this.
People said...
if that ain't a tease, I don't know what it is.
People said Santa Claus, perhaps, is on his list. Many people said Zion Williams. I'm like, no, it's not Zion Williamson. Everybody knew that if you've been following along a little bit, it's Jason Whitlock. And
it was about 6 hours later that he said, "I'm only going to do it once. Whitlock wanted my attention. He got it now." And there was the link to his video. It was a, 50, 60-minute YouTube show, podcast. And he actually talked about the Pat McAfee and ESPN drama and Aaron Rodgers that we talked about a little bit yesterday. And then he dedicated, I would say, 40-plus minutes.
40-plus minutes to the backstory of him and Jason Whitlock. And this begs the question. I have this argument or conversation with my wife. I have this conversation with my therapist. I have this conversation with Ben. Giving oxygen to those people that you wouldn't take advice from, so why take criticism from, right? It's a really something that I struggle with a lot. And actually was in therapy yesterday talking about that very thing. I talked to Paulie about it a little bit on the phone yesterday as well. If you don't care about someone's opinion, like if somebody says your show sucks and you're terrible and you don't know what you're talking about, well, I don't know you. You don't know me. You know what you hear. If I wouldn't take your advice, why would I let your criticism bother me, right? And I wondered what the impetus was for this, the motive behind it.
I think he just snapped.
Could be, but I mean, you don't. A snap is a snap. This was in a court of law, Paulie. This is premeditated murder, right? This is not a
sure,
Your Honor. I lost control and I snapped his neck. No. This was I'm doing this. He said he emailed his pastor about it. He said he emailed his employers at ESPN about it.
The difference between us, though, and like Stephen A, is if you had some listener that was just could not stop keeping your name out of his mouth for 10 years and you finally snapped and went off on it for 45 minutes. You have done it.
Dozens of them.
The problem is that Jason Whitlock has a much bigger platform than said Twitter follower.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So I can see after years and years of Stephen A not saying anything.
On his big platform, ripping on Stephen A. But again, why give oxygen to those people that you don't really care about? I do it. I give oxygen. So I'm not saying he's wrong for doing it. I'm a big oxygen giver.
I think for me, and I want to get to this audio because it's epic Stephen A. Smith, but I think for me, you just said, if someone says your show is terrible and it sucks, that's a valid opinion.
Sure.
That you are allowed to have.
Yeah.
And I can't even deny that. If that's what you think, that's what you think. But then if they go on, like you said, and you don't know what you're talking about, okay, I can probably show you evidence to refute some of that. And when you make a claim that I think is in contrary to actual evidence, like if someone said your show is terrible, I can't listen to it. Fine, that's valid. If they said nobody listens to your show, I could say, well, the ratings say otherwise. Right. Our YouTube numbers say otherwise. And I think there's a point to be made that if you want, you can challenge disinformation and stuff that's not true that's put out there.
Yeah,
now,
okay.
Opinions.
That's fair. Opinion.
I'm not going to let someone's opinion bother me.
Yeah.
A valid, even if it's they hate me, you are allowed to hate me, our show, whatever. It's just not your cup of tea. I'd be weird if everyone just loved your show.
It would be weird.
There needs to be some people who just, you're not their cup of tea. I get that. But if they're putting out things that are just patently false, at some point you need to push back and challenge it. And I think that's what Stephen A. Smith decided. He needed to push back against some things that he thought that Jason Whitlock was now putting out there that he just thought was totally untrue.
So I think the main one was he had just released or has released his memoir, his autobiography, and Whitlock said he didn't write it. He did not write that book. I know his writing. That's not his writing. He did not write it. That would piss me off.
That is something I think
into something like that.
100%.
He needed to push back on.
Okay,
that's not an opinion. I don't like you, Stephen A. Smith. You're a fraud, Stephen A. Smith, and I don't think you actually wrote your book.
Yep.
Here's just this is like not even a minute of the 45 minutes that he went on. I watched the whole thing. I wish we would just play the whole damn thing. It was that entertaining.
I mean, we got an hour left. We could just play the whole thing.
Did you tell them that once the same article in Deadspin came out, weeks later you wrote a lengthy apology to me in an email, begging me to forgive you, pointing out how you were betrayed by this particular writer, so you know how I must feel that you betrayed me? Did you tell the folks that, you bitch? Did you tell them?
Wow.
You fat piece of...
Oh, my God.
Did you tell them that? Got the names. We got Jamel Hill. We got Howard Bryant. You want me to bring up the other writers that wouldn't work for you? Why it took you nearly 2 years to get an article out? Because you ran that so bad you were running it into the ground?
Dude.
Dang, dude.
It was unbelievable.
If you've ever heard the song Ether from Nas, somebody put the beat to it behind it, and it's just perfect. We love a good diss track in the world of hip-hop. We love it. I felt uncomfortable.
This was an assassination.
I felt really uncomfortable watching a lot of this last night. It's so hardcore.
I mean, when he's like, I got the receipts. He's like, you wrote me a lengthy email, Jason Whitlock, begging me to give you a job, begging me to let you back into the circle. He's like, you want me to read it? I got it right here.
It's incredible.
I mean, I'm like, oh my God.
Incredible.
You asked me earlier, though, does it diminish some of Stephen A's criticism when he takes shots
Personal
at
shots.
the appearance of Jason Whitlock?
You know,
calling him fat.
You fat piece of.
That's so hardcore, man. I think the answer is yes.
Could you do it without saying that? And would it have just as much impact? Probably. I think there's a difference, though. If you're just going after a person and your only criticism of them is their appearance, well, you're fat. That is completely out of bounds. You don't criticize someone just for their appearance. Now, if you're just using it as a small qualifier in the rest of your criticisms and you're just throwing that in as an adjective, Jason Whitlock is a hefty guy, that's for sure, and that's a synonym for hefty. You're qualifying your description. You're not saying that's why you think he's total garbage. Just happens to also be true at the same time.
He called him a fat piece of ass.
I will allow that
at least 30 times.
I will allow that as part of your overall rant.
It just punctuates it.
It's just a punctuator.
It just punctuates it a little bit.
It's not why he's problematic. It just happens to also be true.
Yeah, correct. Listen, if somebody comes at me, I can't really go after them in a personal manner. You know, I've been called that before. It never feels good, right? So I was like, man, all right, maybe you didn't need to go there, Stephen A. But man, it was nuts. You don't see a lot of the times the fraternity turn on each other, but it's pretty clear that Jason Whitlock's out of the fraternity. Dan Le Batard did a thing this morning. I saw the clip, and he's like, look, I tried to love Jason Whitlock. He goes, I am a guy that sees the best in people, and I try very hard. And once I kept digging for the best in Jason Whitlock, and it wasn't there, you know, maybe the guy's just a bad dude. Maybe he's a broken soul. You know, there's a million different reasons for why he is the way he is. But yeah, I mean, look, when you're on top, and Stephen A., if you're going to compare those two, he's on top of Jason Whitlock by far. People do they're going to try to knock you off your perch. You know, they're going to be looking for any reason they can to get in your head, whether it's sports, whether it's radio, whether it's you guys, you're a plumber and the competing plumber down the street is going to try to do better than you do. It's just the way humans are wired.
And there's a racial component to this that I don't think any of us here are qualified to address, but Stephen A. is certainly unhappy with some of the takes and opinions that Jason Whitlock has shared and where he has shared them on conservative media, criticizing other, black people in the industry and suggesting that, they've gotten places not due to their own qualifications, but due to the color of their skin.
Yeah, he called him a plant. He said, you're a plant for ESPN. That is diminishing the guy's talent, and he clearly has a lot of talent. And he said, no, you're a plant. Your writing was so poor that they had to promote you, to push you up through the ranks, to give you your own show and everything else, because you were such a bad employee, and you had that doesn't make any sense to me at all. If you're writing for ESPN and you have terrible takes, they don't then say, well, let's put you on TV. Let's make your life. Let's be the fairy godmother that comes in and grants you all your fantasies. It doesn't make any sense from Jason Whitlock. So I can understand why he did it. I've wanted to do it 1,000 times. It made me uncomfortable. It really did. It was an uncomfortable 45 minutes of watching. But the presentation, top notch. Top notch.
I mean, when he starts the podcast with a little 2-minute intro, and he's like, I'd just like to start out by apologizing in advance to ESPN.
Yeah.
They know that this is my podcast.
I can do whatever I want.
It is in my contract that I own this intellectual property. I can do whatever I want, but I want to apologize to ESPN, my bosses, my colleagues, my teammates. I want to apologize to my family. I called my pastor before this episode.
My sisters, my nephews, my nieces. It was great.
And I'm like, oh, what are we about to get into?
Now, Stephen A. is also a businessman and several times promoted his book.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that it was coming out in paperback, you selling some book copies. I don't know how much he makes per book, but I'm sure he's doing quite well on that. It's on the New York Times bestseller list. And it got me thinking, do we need to start working on the Ben and Woods memoir, autobiography story that then we can sell to all the tier ones at some point that are watching us on the YouTube stream one day?
No.
You're not ready for that?
Sounds like a lot of work. I think you have a high opinion of yourself if you think anybody would buy it.
I agree.
I'm under no illusions.
Who do you think you are?
I am under no illusions at all, my friend. He really does. He thinks he's like worthy of that.
I'm not. I actually don't think any. I don't think Stephen A. is necessarily worthy of it either. I mean,
he is.
How far do you have to go to actually be worthy of an autobiography?
He's done enough.
What do you have to do to actually be at the level where you feel like you could write an autobiography of your life and someone would buy that and read it about your life?
Oh,
I don't actually have.
He's done enough.
I was kidding though. There's no chance.
Jeffrey says, "I love you guys, but probably don't need a memoir." There's not too much we hide from you guys anyway, right? We're pretty open and honest.
I would just be collecting all the stories we've already told on the air, pretty much, and putting them in book form.
Like, let me tell you about this one time at fantasy camp when Andy Ashby sat down. Like, we've heard this bit before, man. We don't need this one again. Though I am very excited to hear that story again next week from Andy Ashby. I make him tell it every year. We will hear it again.
All right, so of all the things that we've got planned or coming down the pipeline for Ben and Woods, the memoir/autobiography is not one of them. Fine. I don't really need to sit down and start writing anyway. So that's.
Let's be honest. I would end up doing most of the work, and you would just put your name on it.
I don't know. Who's the better writer?
Me.
Really?
Yeah, come on.
Oh, we need to have a write-off at some point.
I'll write you off any day.
Oh! Shots fired.
Let's go.
Got our Reindl Report coming up. Final hour of Ben and Woods next on The Fan. All right, it is official. Just tweeted out seconds ago by the New England Patriots. Announcement. The Patriots and Bill Belichick have mutually agreed to part ways. It is done. His, 24-year tenure is over as head coach of the New England Patriots. This is great. NBC New York. Breaking. Bill Belichick, who lost 2 Super Bowls to the Giants, expected to part way with the Patriots.
You have to. You have to do it. You have to do it. Oh, man.
Sum up his career. It's 2 losses to Eli Manning. He may have done some other things other than that.
How many did he win? 6?
6,
7?
right?
6? Someone 6.
And then Tom Brady
I saw a picture of him with 7 rings on, though.
Maybe. I thought he won. I thought him and Brady won 6.
6.
And then Brady won his 7.
Did he get one as an assistant with the Giants
Potentially.
under Parcells, maybe? And that's the 7th ring?
I'm not familiar really with his resume other than, this is a weird time. It's really the end of several eras. And it makes you feel old, right? When Bill Belichick, Pete Carroll, and Nick Saban are no longer head coaches. You're like, that's a chapter of my life that's closing. Because you're so used to looking at the sidelines and seeing all 3 of those guys, and you have for decades.
Already getting some quotes coming in. That news conference must have just started.
He's got 8 rings.
8 rings.
8 rings.
2 before the Patriots. And then, 6
with the Patriots.
6 with
As head
Brady
coach,
and the
though,
Patriots.
Ian Rappaport, Bill Belichick, quote, "For me, this is a day of gratitude and celebration." So he's going out peacefully and gracefully after 24 years as head coach of the New England Patriots.
Yeah. I mean, really, what choice do you have? Also, are you trying to get another job? He's not a real vocal guy anyway. Is there audio of his presser? Because that's something I'd
not
like
yet,
to hear. Okay.
But we'll probably, stringing some sentences together is always an accomplishment for Bill Belichick
really
in
is.
front of cameras. So I'm sure we'll be seeing tons of it as the day goes on today. Last game goes out getting clobbered by the Jets in the snow in New England.
Did they get clobbered that game?
It was like 14-3.
Okay, because I was watching it was 6-3, and I turned it on.
14-3.
Hey, quick shout out before the Reindl Report. Jay McGee in the chat says, Ben and Woods, my wife is dealing with some scary health issues right now. Just wanted to say thank you guys for helping take my mind off things for a few hours every day. Give me some laughs. Our thoughts are with you, Jay McGee, and of course your lovely wife.
Well, and also our follower Beans is in surgery
Beans
as well.
is in the hospital or surgery, so you guys take care of yourselves out there.
Be safe. Be safe. All right, Paulie, let's get some headlines. Time for the Reindl Report. And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul. All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right.
How
You
do
didn't put in it's a crap.
Not yet.
All right. That's fine.
It's complete crap.
It's complete.
It's a complete crap.
So good.
I was working on a lot of other stuff yesterday, as you know all about, Woodsy.
That's true. You were.
All right. We had a Woj bomb yesterday as I was driving home from work with the Kawhi Leonard and the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, it was weird. The Clippers announced an extension, but terms were not released. And according to Adrian Wojnarowski, the NBA insider for ESPN, he says that Kawhi Leonard signed a 3-year, $153 million extension. I think it was like a $47 million player option for next year, so he had to decline that and basically sign a new deal. This is weird. I'm a very casual NBA. I love basketball. I just don't watch a ton of NBA. I feel like I haven't watched Kawhi Leonard play in about 5 years.
He's kind of been on and off. I mean, he missed a lot of time due to injuries.
I'm not a Clippers fan, so I don't watch Clippers games.
He's having a good season, and the Clippers are actually playing pretty well this year. Things are finally kind of gelling together. What surprised me about that deal sounds massive, doesn't it? 3 years, $153 million. It's actually a bit of a discount so they could get some other things done. He could have signed a max, I think, 4 220 something was the max deal, and took a little bit less because they want to make sure they keep
55.
Try to keep Paul George and everyone together with the Clippers. So he actually took a little bit less than the total max. A little Shohei Ohtani in him, I guess. Which is insane how much they're getting paid now, but that is not a max deal.
Because Paul George is also eligible for that Supermax extension, and by all accounts, the Clippers want to keep both of those guys together. And it says here, Leonard and Paul George entered the season eligible for the max extension of 4 years, $223.
It's amazing, man. Wonder if SDSU's getting any of that money.
I bet they are.
I bet they are.
Oh, yeah.
Good for the old NIL deal.
You feel like Kawhi doesn't spend a ton on himself, you know?
I don't know why you say that.
Yeah, I mean, from the days in San Diego State, just was he's a gym rat. All he wants to do is go to the gym, and it feels like he's...
I doubt he lives in a shanty.
No, but I mean, I bet because when he comes back to San Diego, he still works out
in Rancho Santa Fe.
He works out at San Diego State. Yes, but that doesn't cost $150 million.
What is your point?
I just think my guess is that he's very generous.
He has a one-bedroom
with San Diego
studio apartment in Mission Valley.
But I don't think he's also someone who's in danger of overspending himself into
Uber
oblivion.
driver during the off season.
I feel like he gives back to the program.
Good. Well, that's all I have. Diatribe on his lifestyle or lack thereof.
I would hope he spends.
I know what Ben's talking.
Somewhat on himself.
He's notoriously frugal.
Yeah.
Is he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This was earlier in his career.
And I hope he's learning to be a little more generous with himself. But his reputation has always been as a guy who ridiculously doesn't spend that much.
Lee Jenkins used to write for the NBA for Sports Illustrated, and he loved to write about Kawhi Leonard. And he wrote a story. This was years ago. He was still, I think, in San Antonio at the time, but he was, top draft pick.
He's making some money.
NBA champion. He had money, not $153 million yet, but he had money. And Lee Jenkins wrote a story about how he ran. He had a gift card, or not a gift card, but it was like a Wings for Life at Wingstop or something like that. Buffalo Wild Wings, whatever. He did an advertisement for them. He had a Wings for Life card, and he lost the card, and he freaked out.
He's got to pay for my own wings now.
Freaked out, calling his agent, I need you to figure this out. Freaked out, and it was the funniest thing I'd ever read. Talked about how, he's got millions in the bank, and he was still driving the same 1996 Chevy Suburban or whatever he had, Chevy Tahoe.
It's a good move, man.
Yeah, and he's
just make this up about Kawhi.
Why not? It works. Works fine.
And I also miss Lee Jenkins, man. I loved that guy. And then he went and started working for the Clippers. I think he's still there.
He's like an advisor or
I have
something.
not heard hide nor hair from Lee in a while, but it's such a great writer.
It's pretty wild what happened with Lee Jenkins now that we're on that subject. It'd be like an NFL team hiring Adam Schefter or something.
And then he's just gone and working behind the scenes on whatever. And they definitely want to keep him because they're moving into their new arena next year, the Intuit Dome. Yep. In Los Angeles, out by SoFi Stadium.
Diesel says hasn't missed a game this season.
Yeah, he's been playing. No load management for Kawhi this year.
Like I said, I haven't watched a single Clippers game, so
they're playing pretty well.
All right, I saw this story from Front Office Sports, and it seems like a hoax, but Front Office Sports is a reputable account. They don't just throw out a bunch of crap. It says here the promoters behind Mr. Irrelevant. You hear that term in football, really in all sports, but a lot of times in football. Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick in the draft. And when those guys come out and surprise, it's always fun.
Brock Purdy.
Right. They are working on the Irrelevant Bowl, a college bowl game for the two worst teams in college football.
Give them a little something to play for.
The event is currently looking for a host city. And if it were let's just say if it happened this year, it would have featured Akron and Vanderbilt. Would have been the two worst teams in college football that got a bowl game, didn't win 6 games, qualify for a regular bowl, but they would play.
Okay, so you do have to qualify for a bowl.
No, I don't. It just says the two worst teams in college football.
So, if you go 0-12, you can go to this bowl.
Yeah. You could. They could pick
you. But I think the rules state you can't play a bowl game unless you win 6 games.
They're changing the rules to do. To put on an would it be?
I think it's an independent.
It's an independent thing.
This doesn't make any sense to me. First of all, So you're just going to embarrass
Their
both
quote-
programs? Those programs are going to be willingly embarrassed by going to play in this game?
You get to play one more bowl.
It's still, I don't think that anyone would want to play in
Their
that bowl
quote
game.
says, no polls, no rankings, no controversy. They are just picking the
Two worst teams. Come on out, play a
There's
game.
no way, if I'm the coach of one of those two teams, that I am accepting an invitation to humiliate my program.
The humiliation bowl.
To go play in that game.
Like,
It's
I'm looking at some of the comments.
It's not like
why
good
would any team
advertising
agree
for
to
my
this?
program.
Right.
Who would agree to that?
What if you made money? What if they had sponsors?
One fan goes, honestly, we have too many bowls, but I'm 100% in on this
I
one.
would watch that bowl over, some of the other ones.
I'd watch that bowl over 75% of the other
4
ones.
minutes like a preseason game. And
It's
then
true.
you know what you'd end up watching? A horrible football game between two teams that can't complete a pass, that can't make a tackle, that can't do anything. It's
Now, if
not
you had-
entertaining.
If you had a sponsor that was like, all right, man, yeah, this is obviously it's not, but listen, it gives your kids a chance to play one more game in college, probably the last game many of them will ever play in their lives. Each program gets $1 million. Why not?
If I just finished an 0-12 season or a 1-11
The last thing you
season,
want to do is play
the
one
last
more.
thing I want to do is practice another month to play another game. I'm so glad the season is over, and I don't ever have to think about it again.
Yep, all right,
It's
that's
just
fair.
this is like a horrible idea. Horrible.
All right, finally, we will wrap it up. I was not aware of this, but so George Carlin, he passed away in 2008, I believe it was.
Shout out to his
2008.
family.
Shout out to his family. Died of heart failure. One of the greatest comedians, maybe the greatest comedian, depending on who you ask. One of the legends in stand-up comedy. And a new special was released to YouTube this week called George Carlin, I'm Glad I'm Dead. And it's a comedy special made with artificial intelligence. And it starts with a disclaimer, just to give them due here. It starts with a disclaimer that it is an impersonation of George Carlin that I developed in the exact same way a human impressionist would. Think like Will Ferrell acting as George W. Bush or something like that. That's what the AI kind of generated, but there is a special, I have not seen it, I have not seen a clip of it, but George Carlin's daughter spoke out about this yesterday. She said, my dad spent a lifetime protecting his craft from his very human life, brain, and imagination. No machine will ever replace his genius. These AI-generated products are clever attempts at trying to recreate a mind that will never exist again. Let's let the artist's work speak for itself.
Yes,
Humans are
couldn't agree
so
more.
afraid of the void that we can't let what has
Ugh.
fallen into it stay there.
There's
And
enough-
I thought that was amazingly said.
There's enough good George Carlin material
Just go watch
out there.
George
Just
Carlin.
go watch George Carlin. You don't need computer-generated AI George Carlin. It's not going to be better than the real George Carlin or the real David Bowie or the real Kiss or the real anybody.
100% agree.
My first George Carlin experience actually came, I believe I was 10 years old. And I didn't even know who George Carlin was when I was 10 years old. But we were on a flight. And remember back then they would hand out the stethoscope?
Yes. The headphones. Yeah.
that the plug would only work in the plane. And then you'd have the little dial with the different channels on the flight, and one of them was the comedy channel.
Yeah.
And I remember going to the comedy channel, and because it's an airline, it was completely edited so it was clean, which I don't even know how you could do nowadays with George Carlin.
Right.
But they had and I listened to that because it was so funny over and over again, even without the curse words or anything.
Surprised it wasn't sports, if I'm being honest. 10-year-old Ben.
There probably wasn't a sports channel, unfortunately. But you only had 9, and there were 9 channels. Paulie probably doesn't even know this. And most of them were there was the jazz channel.
Right.
The blues.
Shut up, baby.
Easy listening. I mean, these are the most non-offensive choices that they would put on American Airlines that you could get. But there was the one comedy channel, and that was the one that I would go to and listen to. And that was my first George Carlin
actually
experience with the stethoscope headphones on the airplane.
The first Carlin bit I ever heard was when he's taking a big dump on baseball, and it made me so mad that I held a grudge against George. He was, this is why football's better. They play on a gridiron, and I've always been a big defender of the game, and I was like, I don't like this guy. Then I heard the 7 dirty words, and I heard a bunch of other really, really brilliant stuff, and eventually came around on the great George Carlin.
The boys' names one for me. It kills me every
yeah,
single
he's just
time.
brilliant.
I just listened off air to a little snippet. I got to find maybe a clean version I can play you guys later, but it sounds just like George Carlin.
Oh, you found the AI.
Yeah, I got the special. It's on YouTube. I got to pull it and
It's
edit
on
it.
YouTube. Okay.
It's very explicit.
I'm trying to...
Just like George Carlin was. And the whole thing was it wanted to give what a George Carlin special would sound like in 2023. So it's talking about current events.
Current events. All right. Hate when I come around on these things, but now I kind of want to hear it. I don't
curiosity, but
curiosity.
Not to actually
There's
hope
no
this
video.
is a new
it's
trend
it's
in
like
the future.
still images. Like if he's talking about Taylor Swift, it would be a picture of Taylor Swift or something, and you just hear the audio.
But it sounds AI audio.
It sounds
George Carlin.
eerily similar to.
I'm trying to remember what that first bit was that I heard. As people say, it goes down the tubes. What tubes? Where are these tubes?
Of course you like that. Of course, that's what reeled you in.
Jesus.
Thank you, Paulie.
Paulie,
You're
good work.
welcome.
It's been a crazy couple of days in college basketball. I got a couple.
I saw your tweet last night. Holy
smokes,
I know.
And some good news for San Diego State as well that came out yesterday and today. We can get to some of that coming up. Is there anything I'm missing? We don't have any giveaways, do we, Paulie, that I'm missing here?
I think we're good today.
All right, we're good today. All right, we'll get to that coming up after a check of traffic. Back with more Bennett Woods next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. we have our YouTube stream playing on one of our televisions in the studio. Woods points up to the TV and goes, I look good in that.
Hey, I look good in that one slide.
It's Woods in his Pikachu costume from when we went to Comic-Con.
It switched right at the wrong time.
Very, very odd. I mean, you don't look bad in your Pikachu costume.
No, I do. It's fine.
All right. So I know this is one of those peremptory rants that I sometimes go on when it comes to San Diego State getting the respect I think they deserve.
Just enjoy this one.
So in the last in the last 2 days, college basketball has been crazy. Once you get to conference play, winning on the
real quick. You have 6 minutes, 15 seconds in you?
Yeah.
All right.
Just settle back.
Good, I got a lot of work to do.
Me too.
Once you get to conference play, it's not just the Mountain West. Every conference going on the road, it's difficult to win, and you're going to see upsets. And the last couple of days have been crazy. The numbers 1, 2, 3, and 5 teams in the country have all lost in the past 2 days. Purdue lost to Nebraska. Houston lost to Iowa State. Kansas was upset yesterday by UCF. And Tennessee lost at Mississippi State. I believe all of those on the road. UConn, number 4, the only one that won, and they barely survived at Xavier by 5 points. These are going to happen. Once you get into conference play, there's no teams that are going 16-0, 18-0 in their conferences. Losses will happen on the road. Where I get upset is that when it comes to teams like Purdue and Kansas and Tennessee, the experts will all go, well, yeah, I mean, it's tough to go on the road and win games, and they'll probably drop a spot or 2 in the rankings next week, but they'll all still be in the top 10, and no one will say one word about a loss.
It's because of the weight that they place in their conference?
I guess.
And the lack of weight that they give to the Mountain West.
But if San Diego State goes to New Mexico, which is an incredibly hard place to play, the Pit in New Mexico, historically, this isn't like Newey, this isn't like Grand Canyon, like I've heard things about Grand Canyon, which is a really hard place to play where they lost. This is New Mexico. This is 16,000 fans at the Pit, a team that is, 14-3. And if they happen to lose on Saturday, I'm not saying they will, but if they do, they'll get hammered. And everyone will go, I guess they're not as good as we thought they were. And it's like, it's completely unfair the way some programs are treated versus other programs. And I thought it would change when San Diego State got to the national championship game. And
it didn't.
I'm finding that hasn't really changed at all this year.
That kills a lot of the narrative that a lot of people talked about.
Yeah.
That now they'll get the respect that they deserve. I think it's been proven this year. It's been the opposite.
Not really. Both times they lost, they were knocked immediately out of the top 25.
They will again, right? If they lose.
It took 6 straight wins for them to get back into the top 25, and now they're at number 19, which feels fairly appropriate for them. Now, it's an opportunity as well, though, because with all those teams losing ahead of them, and number 9 Oklahoma lost yesterday, number 11 Marquette lost yesterday, number 21 Clemson lost yesterday. I think Marquette was the only one at home. It is possible that if San Diego State wins 2 on the road this week, they get that road win at New Mexico, there will be room to move up in the rankings. Top 15 seems very doable for San Diego State. But again, tough matchup at New Mexico. It's an early start, 11 a.m. our time, national televised, on CBS, so people will be watching again, which ups the stakes. You want to have your best performances when the committee members, the voters, they'll all be probably at least flipping through and able to see it. It's not like the 8 o'clock West Coast start that starts at 11 p.m. on the East Coast that no one's really watching. They'll maybe look at the score later and, judge your game based on that. So people will be watching. You want to see the Aztecs put together a representative performance and hopefully come out with a win when they face the Lobos on Saturday. Jaden Ledee, though, congratulations to him, was named to a couple of big lists, including the Wooden Award midseason top 25 watch list for the potential Player of the Year award in the country at the end of the year, coming off that fantastic game that he had at San Jose State 2 nights ago with 31 points and 10 rebounds, and continues to put up just absolutely monster numbers for the Aztecs, and they'll need him to do it again on Saturday at New Mexico. But No, I didn't quite make it. I only made about 4.5 minutes.
That's all right. That's all right.
What time? So they play at 11
a.m. on Saturday. Yeah.
It'll be noon in Arizona for me and Woodsy.
It's perfect, though, because the NFL playoffs don't start until 1. So you get the Aztec game, and then you can watch the playoff games.
Sack full of Taco Bell in front of us. No question about it. Can't wait for that.
How many times are you going to Taco Bell?
Just once. We do it one time. Haven't eaten it since we went last year.
It's the only time of the year I go.
We go one time, and we go all out.
What will be the bill for your one visit
depends
to
on
Taco
who
Bell?
Orders, because I order like a quesadilla and a taco and the cheesy fiesta potatoes. Woods, let's say I spent $12. I think Woods spent about
28,
30 or 35.
Yep.
Really?
It kept coming. It kept coming.
Stop. So, it depends too. You're gonna bring.
Yeah.
The little things you brought last year.
Can I go on another mini rant? Not specifically about Taco Bell.
Sure.
Why are quesadillas so overpriced? Cheese quesadillas
I don't
have
eat
got
them,
to be.
so I don't know that they are.
I love quesadillas.
I mean, they're delicious, but honestly, it's something I can make at home very, very, very easily.
They don't taste this.
They don't taste as good, and they put more cheese in them generally when you go to the restaurants. But
we have quesadillas at home.
Cheese quesadillas are now like $9 when you go to a taco shop. $16. We're talking about one flour tortilla and a handful of shredded cheese. The ingredients have to be less than like 12 cents for what you have just sold me, and the prep work that. It takes about 4 seconds of actual work to put the quesadilla together. It's got to be one of the most overpriced menu items you will ever get.
I don't get it.
At a
so
taco
I'm good.
shop.
I never have to worry about it.
I can't say that I never do, though, because it's so tempting when it's sitting right there.
Do you ever crave Taco Bell? They're saying in the chat, like Charisma says she never craves Taco Bell. I crave it once a year. It's when I get to Peoria.
I don't really. I sometimes crave the Jack in the Box tacos.
Oh, so good.
But I don't really crave Taco Bell. Now, Shelly, once a year, she loved the double-decker taco. I don't think they have it anymore. The double-decker taco supreme was her favorite.
I don't want to talk about this anymore, Adio Royster, because this is the bit that always comes up when we mention Taco Bell. This is what kills me. Why Taco Bell? Are there not any good hole-in-the-wall taco shops where you live? We've had this conversation.
For
the 69th time. Taco Bell is different.
Entity.
I like a burger at Wagyu, right? But I sometimes crave a Big Mac. It's a different thing entirely.
Chipotle is not Mexican food. It's just Chipotle.
Nobody has ever said, I would love some Mexican food tonight. Let's go to Taco
Bell.
Right. I'm craving Taco Bell.
I mean,
let's make a run for the border.
People have said it, but they're bad people.
They're bad.
They don't count. We don't value their opinions. I think Chipotle falls into that same category. Chipotle is Chipotle.
If you want to go to Taco Bell, more power to you. That's fine. If you say, I would like a good Mexican meal, and you say, let's go to Taco Bell,
that's a problem.
You're a bad person.
That's a problem.
It's definitely a problem there, for sure.
I like it once a year at camp, maybe even twice a year.
If I had a taco shop, I'd sell quesadillas for like $2 to get people in the door, and then charge more for the other items.
All right, save your story because we're late. We'll come back with Paul's story.
All right. No.
It's dead.
It's fine.
It's dead.
It's Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports
Taco Bell shaming
station, 97.3 The Fan. Annie Heilbrunn outside the studio. They are coming up, Annie and Elston, at 10 o'clock. And 1 hour from now, I believe, they will be joined by the manager of the San Diego Padres, one Mike Shildt. Looking forward to another Shildt appearance here on 97.3 The Fan.
Shildt hits the fan one more time. That's exactly right. And
no bullshit.
Yeah, no bullshit today. That's a tough one, man.
That one scares me.
It's a scary
even.
one. Hope he's not full of Shildt today on the show. There was an article Kevin Acee wrote in the paper about Mike Shildt talking about his many, many trips this offseason, going around to see a lot of the fellas and, talk to some guys. Fernando had some nice things to say about the skipper as well, saying, yeah, he's kind of seen it. He's been here with us a couple years. He's seen the good and the bad, kind of knows what this team was missing and knows what to do. So, hey, man, that's what you want. You want superstars in the manager's corner, certainly, at least to start the year. But we'll see how it plays out. But excited to hear him today.
I didn't realize this, but Mike Shildt is one of just 8 men since the year 1900 to become a manager without playing any games of professional baseball.
One of how many?
8. Minor league, major league. He never played any professional baseball in his life. Oh. And one of them is Ted Turner, which doesn't really count. He was the owner of the Braves, who made himself the manager for one game.
God, I would totally do that if I was the owner. He did one game?
Ted Turner, 1977. Yeah, he managed the team himself.
And lost it.
They lost.
God, I would do that in a heartbeat. Owner, manager, general manager, Stephen Woods would be amazing and awful.
But yeah, the baseball lifer who didn't really play baseball ever.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's an interesting story, to be sure.
It is.
We're getting to know new things about Mike Shildt every single day.
Indeed.
We'll see how he is as a day-to-day manager with the Padres. If he has the success he had with the Cardinals,
we're good.
That's a huge win for the Padres right now.
Yep.
All right, last segment of the day. Let's check traffic. Come back. We'll wrap things up here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Pretty good wrap-up after a very busy morning, guys. Speed's getting back to normal on westbound 8. They cleared that accident out of the 3 right lanes near Severin. No other problems on our roads. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, you had the breaking news this morning, and I think the press conference is wrapped up or in the process of wrapping up. Bill Belichick out after 24 years as head coach of the New England Patriots. It was mutually announced today that he is stepping away. Comes a day after Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks kind of going their own way with a new head coach of the future, and Nick Saban retiring as head coach of Alabama.
What a day! What a day!
Quite the trio to all be out at the same time, at the same moment here in football history.
Yeah,
so
it is.
A couple of clips here if you guys want to hear.
Yeah, let's hear the very dynamic Bill Belichick.
This is just Bill Belichick on the team and him mutually agreeing to part ways.
Team. And it's with just so many fond memories and thoughts that I think about the Patriots and I'll always be a Patriot. I look forward to coming back here, but at this time, we're gonna move on, and I look forward. I'm excited for the future, but always very, very appreciative of the opportunity here, the support here, and what you've done for me. Thank you.
He sounds human. He sounds like a human being.
Bob Kraft. Yeah, and then another clip here from Awful Announcing. Bill Belichick's goodbye message to the Boston media. Doesn't want to play for some reason, but the quote is, "I respect what you do.
Totally.
You're our voice to the fans."
Right, and no one has given you guys more than me.
That's why I've treated you with so much respect over the years.
I'll pull that out of here in just one second.
Fantastic.
I need to hear this clip now.
I don't know. You said he sounded human.
He did. A little shake voice.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Play it again. He had a little shake.
I thought he was about to cry.
Was that the natural ums?
No, I think he had a little shake voice in there. I think he was. My take on it was that he was emotional.
And it's with just so many fond memories and thoughts that I think about the Patriots and I'll always be a Patriot. I look forward to coming back here. But at this time, we're gonna move on, and I look forward and excited for the future.
Yeah, I can totally hear it.
I can hear the shake. The shake.
It's similar to Pete Carroll's in that you could tell
Pete's was.
Well, Pete's was, much more Pete, but in terms of the tone, you could tell that Pete Carroll wasn't entirely in agreement that it was time to step away. And I think you could tell from Bill at the end there that he wasn't entirely in agreement that it was his time to step away. But the decision had been made, and he was just going to live with it and play ball with it. It wasn't like, oh, they tried to talk me out of this, but no, really, I think it was, if they had said, you want to come back for another year, Bill? He would have said yes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And Pete, same thing. They said, Pete, we want you for another year. Good. I would love to be the coach of the Seahawks for another year. I don't think either of them went willingly. They both have gone so far fairly gracefully, but neither of them went out willingly as the head coach of their team.
Jeff in the chat says the local station WEEI one time said that off the air he was completely different and would talk and ask them about things like a normal person. That has to be even more frustrating. Like
infuriating.
You see him out at camp or whatever, and he's like, "Hey Ben, how are you? How's the family? Everything good? And I hear this and that. You good? Yeah, I think team's looking good. We could use this, that." Then you get on the air, you're like, "Hey Bill, so tell me about his."
What do you think the reason was for that, though?
I don't know.
Just to protect,
putting on a front.
But if you're the one who is giving the message out, you know what to give oxygen and not to give oxygen. He's not an idiot,
right?
He didn't have to be stubbornly closed.
Yes.
You can say things without saying things. You can help the media out without actually causing controversy. There are plenty of coaches who have done it. And I've got to think that Bill Belichick is savvy enough that he could have fed the media more without, getting himself into tight situations or committing to things. A lot of guys do it, yet he never was willing to play ball with them.
Here's that clip of him talking about the media.
To the media, for you guys, I don't know that anybody's gotten more coverage than I have or we have in the past 24 years. Meet with you guys a lot. Respect what you do. You're a voice to the fans, and even though we don't always see eye to eye all the time, most of the time, but not all the time, I do respect what you do, and
he does.
Civil in the chat says he's establishing and maintaining a persona as head coach. His public front matched his locker room front. I think I don't know that he was that way I've heard stories about him with his players and stuff, that he really was a caring guy and cared about his players. I heard he ran a very tight ship, which would be expected, but you can't have too much the other way either. You can't have somebody that continuously puts their foot in their mouth, but there needs to be a happy medium, just a conversation. Let's just have a conversation on the air.
You can't be, even an old school coach, you can't be a football coach, a baseball coach nowadays without at least showing to your players that you want to have their best interest in mind. If you're simply a robot who is X's and O's and you have no feel for anything, you're not going to be successful. You're not even going to get the job at this point.
Yeah.
It's such an important part of being a coach nowadays.
The connection.
Is the emotional connection with your team.
I haven't watched the Hard Knocks in season with the Dolphins, but holy smokes.
I've watched it a little bit. It's really good.
Their clips of
really good.
What the hell's his name? Mike
McDaniel.
Mike McDaniel he's amazing. He's amazing. You want to talk about connection to a team? Now they could go out and get their doors blown off by 30 this weekend against the Chiefs. They might. It's not stacked in their favor right now as it stands. But I think those guys love playing for that dude. I think they love playing for him. He knows what he's talking about. He connects with them. He's hysterical. He's dynamic. He's everything. He's the total package. Then again, 3 years ago, a lot of people would say that about Brandon Staley as well. And it just goes to show you how quickly it can change. Credit to guys like Belichick and Pete Carroll that have done it for so long at that level, man, with different guys coming in. They haven't all been perfect. Their decisions haven't all been right, but those dudes are straight up legends in the game.
Most of all, though, guys, they want to win. And if they thought Bill Belichick was helping them win games, they'll buy in. And you can have the greatest personality on earth as a coach, but if you're not helping guys win games, you're going to lose the locker room. And ultimately, I think Bill Belichick kept the locker room for as long as he did because people wanted to win. And there were certainly stories that guys on other teams may have had a more fun experience than playing for the New England Patriots and Bill's set of rules, but they were willing to, play ball because they wanted to win, and they felt they had a good chance to do so in Bill's system in New England with that team. But once it stopped, once the winning stopped, I mean, yeah, they gave him a couple of seasons here, but you're not going to buy in that much longer when the winning doesn't keep following the way he does his business.
That's exactly right. Yeah, you can burn out and burn guys out as well.
Here's a super short clip, but here's how he started his press
This is
conference.
great.
You want to talk about emotion and showing some character? He finally did it on his very last press conference.
All right, morning. Seen this many cameras since we signed Tebow.
That's funny.
It's really good.
That's actually funny.
If you're a reporter that's covered that team in that market for the
You're
last
like, you
20
son
years,
of a
you're
bitch,
like, really?
man. Where's this been?
Really? Now?
It's great. Let's spin the wheel.
Yeah, sure, we can spin the topic wheel. Well, we
You want to do the jelly bean wheel or
no,
the
we're
topic,
not topic wheel,
Oh,
please.
Somebody did say
I need a
we need
day
to make
off from
Adam
the jelly
spin the
beans.
jelly
Oh,
bean
is
wheel.
Adam
He's
out
right
there?
there.
No, yeah.
Adam, you want to play Bamboozled?
Bean Boozled.
Bean Boozled.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's good for the
Yes!
show.
All right, he's in.
Everyone wants to see us do it, and I can't do it again 2 days in a row. It was
Oh my
too
God, I'm
painful.
so excited for this.
So
Sit next to
Adam,
Wood so you're on
Adam's
camera.
going to jump into the camera. All right. Well, I will put my camera on Adam.
Okay.
Don't get right behind the thing there, the pole.
All right, it's all you
See what
do.
I'm willing to do for the show?
Yes,
Here,
I do.
Ben, put your camera back on you.
All right.
I'll switch it over to Adam.
Put his mic on, Paulie.
This right here?
I don't know. Nobody knows.
All right. Adam's going to spin the Bean Boozled wheel.
It is.
You didn't really do anything wrong. It's a punishment wheel, but we all had to do it at least once to start. So,
Okay.
what did you get?
Pull it up.
Buttered popcorn or
Rotten egg.
Oh, I've
Buttered
heard rotten egg
popcorn?
is bad.
Rotten egg is really bad.
So you're hoping for the buttered popcorn.
Oh, God, it reeks. I think it's that one. Grab that one or that one.
All right.
It's the same.
Or it could be this one.
Or it could be that one.
I mean, they're all either buttered popcorn or rotten egg.
That tin absolutely reeks.
Oh, I can't wait for this.
Here it is.
All right, here
I
comes the
cannot
bean.
wait for this.
Praying for buttered
I don't,
popcorn.
my
I mean,
God.
I don't even like buttered popcorn flavored. But
Eat it.
You should know by now.
You should know. It's buttered popcorn. Damn
Buttered
it.
popcorn.
Dang it.
Am I the only really
you're
unlucky-
the
Sweet,
only-
sweet buttered popcorn.
Sweet buttered popcorn.
Oh, that sucks.
Thank you for that.
Thanks for the invite, guys.
You're welcome,
Yeah,
buddy.
welcome.
That was amazing. He was walking by the studio.
I was
so-
nervous for him just because knowing how bad the rotten egg
It
was going to
ruined
be.
your day yesterday.
It really did. The whole day. So, Adam, props to Adam for stepping up and spinning the wheel.
So it's 2 for 2. I was safe.
We can spin our topic wheel. We didn't mention the rest of Dennis's mailbag and a couple of the other questions I wanted to get to, including he, like everybody else, thinks that a reunion with Jurix and Profar is
Imminent.
pretty likely at some point this offseason, and we've been kind of thinking the same thing. When is it going to happen? I don't know. Jurickson was a pretty late signing. I think all the times he's been a free agent.
Are you blocked on Twitter by him?
Yes,
'Cause
I think
I
so.
am.
I am.
I think I am as well.
All right. If he does resign, who's going to be the one to ask him to unblock us at spring training? I'll do it.
I haven't tweeted in months. I'll do it.
All right, you do
Yeah,
it.
I'm blocked.
I'm blocked.
At
as well.
Jurickson Profar. Yeah,
I'm blocked as well.
too.
I have no problem with it.
He may be the only human being alive that's blocked Ben Higgins. What did you do? What did you do that cost us, all of us?
I don't know, but why do you think it was me? You're blocked too.
That's true. I think you were probably
Paulie's
first.
blocked. Maybe it was Paulie did something.
Maybe.
Man, this sucks.
I'm curious. Is it
But,
every media member?
Here's the weird thing, though. I don't think the show account is blocked.
Is that right?
I don't believe it is.
So that means he went out of his way to personally find us and block us.
Did you just wait? Did we all tweet something about him at
No,
some point?
I looked.
I never said any
I've never
bad
said
word
anything
No,
about
not even
Jurickson
good
Profar.
or bad. Just anytime you meant, like, does he block anyone that mentions him in a mention? And
No.
Is it a PR person who does all the blocking
I don't
for
think
him?
so.
Everybody in
Like,
the local media blocked me. I don't
Jurickson
know.
goes, I don't want to hear what the media is saying about me, so just block
I don't
all the
wanna
local
see it.
members of the media. I don't want to see it.
If I blocked every person that said something mean about me, I'd have 4 people that I'd see on the timeline.
There was also a question of whether Travis Jankowski might have a reunion with the Padres.
Freddie, World Series champion.
World Series champion Freddie Travis Jankowski. Certainly not out of the question, I think. The defense, center field, guy who can play out there, versatile, but obviously the offense remains pretty lacking on that front, and the Padres will need some bats as well this offseason. So that was something that Dennis addressed in his mailbag. He also was asked the possibility of the Padres signing Trevor Bauer. And he said, again, nothing is 100% with this team, but I've been told this is not going to happen.
I saw a little bit of that interview that he did with WFAN in New York. There's another pending case right now that Trevor Bauer himself mentioned. So, yeah, I don't know that that's a circus that you want to invite into town.
There are some people in baseball who still believe he will never pitch in the major leagues again.
Yeah.
And not simply because of this
thing.
case
Correct.
That, has been settled.
Sure.
But just the entire
whole
vortex
package.
Surrounding the Trevor Bauer package.
Hence why he's on a media tour.
Yeah, no matter how much media he does, there are some people who think he has already thrown his last pitch in Major League Baseball. All right, Annie and Elston coming up next with Mike Schilt. We will be back for the Friday edition of the show tomorrow. Thank you to Paul. Thank you to Woodsy. I'm Ben. Have a great rest of your Thursday, everybody.